This feudal lord is highly scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 626 Recruitment. Yes, you finally bit me. Lin Ke's mouth curled up slightly. Muscle? What is muscle? Biceps are muscles, and muscle fibers are also muscles. What a strong person can do is not only to train his muscles to be bigger and bigger, but also to control every muscle in the body, and even every muscle cell. Lin Ke couldn't do it originally, but he is a professional. Ordinary people want to control every muscle cell. That's simply unheard of. What about professionals? At least when Lin Ke announced the concept of muscle cells, the researchers at the Institute of Biology did this on the spot. At this time, Lin Ke's muscle cells vibrated at the same frequency at the same time, and the bloody mouth of the crocodile gladiator began to overflow with strands of blood. Lin Ke took this opportunity to raise his arms with all his strength, lifted up the body of the crocodile gladiator, and then turned around and slammed it heavily on the ground. Bang! Over the shoulder throw. The crocodile gladiator was stunned by the blow, and it seemed as if he had a vibrator in his mouth. No, it seemed as if he had a vibrator in his mouth, so he subconsciously opened his mouth. However, Lin Ke did not give up. The crocodile gladiator's eyes were full of greed, and all kinds of bad thoughts were almost overflowing from his eyes. Beat hard. Beat him enough, and make him scared, and then he will be subdued. Bang, bang, bang. Sojin picked up the crocodile gladiator's body again and smashed it to the ground left and right. The body weighing 1 or 2 tons was smashed to the ground, and no vibration was transmitted. It was all offset by the secret text. The crocodile gladiator was hit so hard that he saw stars and subconsciously used his magic power. Enough. Not enough. Lin Ke's magic power, which was controlled at about level 15, also surged out instantly and was extremely powerful. After hitting more than 10 times, the crocodile gladiator was suppressed by Lin Ke and could not move. Lin Ke finally threw it to the wall, then clapped his hands. Done. Next one. Bang. The crocodile gladiator fell to the wall, and then the magic power restricted by Lin Ke was released. The crocodile gladiator's injuries recovered instantly, and then he said angrily, "You are humiliating me." Yes. Lin Ke turned around, his eyes cold. "If I'm not mistaken, you have taken the lead in making trouble many times, right? If I don't show up again this year, will the Tekai martial arts school be finished? It will become your asset?" Lin Ke advocates opening a martial arts school, but he doesn't like it by coveting other people's property. He appreciates people who become stronger step by step, rather than those who put their minds on other things. Give him a lesson, and then slowly train him later, if there is time. So what? You're just a junior gladiator. The crocodile gladiator didn't want to show his weakness in front of the students, and said straightly, "You haven't been in the Tekai martial arts hall, but you have such good resources. It's a waste." Waste? Lin Ke frowned and said, "According to you, the law that private property is sacred and inviolable is just for show. According to you, I now feel that you are wasting air while alive. It's better to give this air to those strong people. Don't you deserve to die?" Lin Ke hates this kind of behavior that stands on the moral high ground. Others waste. Others use their hard-earned money, so what if it's a waste? People just want to use the money to open a martial arts hall. Just want to do this, so it's a waste? They are righteous, but their actual purpose is dirty and twisted. Forget it. Don't say any more. You've already lost. At this time, the conifer gladiator came forward and said to Lin Ke, "Sparta, I admit that I can't beat you either, and I'm willing to promise not to bother the Tekai martial arts school in the future." Lin Ke nodded slightly, and a smile reappeared on his face. "It's just a normal sparring. Well, if you don't mind, can I recruit you to be instructors at the Tekai martial arts school? Are you serious?" The centaur talk just now was a little curious. "We have come to the Tekai martial arts school to cause trouble several times before. No problem." Lin Ke waved his hand, walked out of the practice room, sat down on a chair in the rest area nearby, and looked at the crocodile gladiator on the side. "I can give you a chance. To be honest, I have the strength of a gladiator master, and I have Watson behind me. Follow me to develop my career. Of course, there is only one chance. I can allow mistakes, but I can't tolerate betrayal. If you follow me, at least I will teach you all the martial arts I know. As for how much you can learn, how much you can understand, and how much you can use, it depends on you. You consider it. Lin Ke moved his arms, and a bunch of element were absorbed, and then directly filled into the wound just now, and the wound recovered directly. Lin Ke could even feel that he could directly absorb energy from Nasing's plain crystal wall system to repair his body, even if it was far away from Nasing. At most the speed would be slower. In fact, it might not only be the power of the plain crystal wall system that was absorbed, but he could also vaguely touch some deeper power. The rule body is really useful. Can we try it? While these gladiators were discussing, two of them spoke in unison. Lin Ke looked over. Those two raccoons. These two short raccoons looked very cute and furry, reminding him of the storm rats he had been holding before. Unfortunately, the storm rats have now fallen into the snack offensive of the group of women, and have completely become their playthings, without the dignity of the legendary Warcraft king. Okay, well, I seem to have heard of you guys. Lin Ke had some impressions. It seemed that Nyx had told him before that there was a medical miracle, that is, two professionals shared a heart, and it was quite powerful, reaching level 11, and became intermediate gladiators. It was just that two professionals became gladiators at the same time, not just one of them. You share a heart, right? Lin Ke asked. Yes, Mr. Sparta. The two raccoons spoke at the same time, just like a mirror. Okay, then come on. Lin Ke was somewhat interested. The two raccoons shared the title of intermediate gladiator, and they also went on the field together. When they went on the field, which was within the scope allowed by the rules, Lin Ke stood up and looked at the others. Everyone, you think about it first, and please tell me what you think after this fight. After that, Lin Ke and the two raccoons went on the field. One of the two raccoons was pure black, and the other was pure white. They looked furry and cute. But to be able to reach the intermediate gladiator, these two raccoons are definitely not that simple. Come on. There was no need for a referee, and Lin Ke was ready to make a quick decision. Okay. The two raccoons answered at the same time, and then in the next moment they turned into two after images and rushed over. The two sides immediately fought together. Chapter 627, Sudden Enlightenment. Take eye. What a fast speed. Lin Ke was highly alert at this time. The two brothers gave him a stronger feeling than the previous gladiators. They were definitely at least at the level of high-level gladiators. Wow. The two black and white raccoon brothers reached out to Lin Ke from the left and right, and from the top and bottom. The muscles on their hairy palms swelled, containing great power, speed, strength, agility. All three. Lin Ke was doing two things at once, raising his right hand and left leg at the same time, stretching his body as if he was stretching, exerting force on both sides at the same time, controlling his muscles to use inch force, and fighting the two black and white raccoon brothers. Bang! The black and white raccoons were shocked back a few steps and then rushed up again, as if Lin Ke's two palms just now did not hurt them. Of course, if you look closely, you can find that the position of the black and white raccoon brothers' arms does not seem to have changed, but their skin has been injured by the force similar to hitting a cow from a distance, so their arms are trembling slightly. Lin Ke's arms are almost feeling nothing, and they are still the same as before. However, the attacks of the black and white raccoon brothers were still extremely fierce. The two 1.5 meter tall raccoons jumped up and down, which was more difficult to deal with than the centaurs and crocodiles. Moreover, because they had fought with Lin Ke once at the beginning, the two raccoons had also learned a lot, and did not fight Lin Ke head on. This made Lin Ke more playful. He immediately made a take-eye opening move, and a mysterious aura suddenly spread out. Take-eye. The culmination of Chinese ancient martial arts. It is not just a simple connection and transformation. With the deepening of Lin Ke's own practice, coupled with the influence of the Nasing environment, he can find a sense of mystery. Since there is such a feeling, it proves that Take-Eye may contain laws, and can open up new laws. As Lin Ke swung his Take-Eye posture, there was no flaw in his body, and he was impeccable. The most important thing is that when the black and white raccoon brothers attacked at a very fast speed, Lin Ke received it at an extremely slow speed. It was as slow as falling leaves and flying flowers, but it caught every attack of the black and white raccoon brothers steadily. It was as if the attack of the black and white raccoon brothers automatically sucked Lin Ke's palm over. This was the suction brought by the fist wind. Pressure. Pressure. This was the strongest defense that Lin Ke used with Takai. This kind of afterimage that seemed fast but not fast, slow but not slow, made the people watching feel nauseous and wanted to vomit. It was too uncomfortable. You have to know that the people watching the battle did not prohibit magic power. They had this feeling when they watched while their professions were still running in their bodies, not to mention ordinary people. And the most important thing is that this kind of fluctuation similar to the law was exerted by the Sparta with his mortal body. Mortal body, pushing the law. The onlookers, especially these intermediate gladiators, plus some students with a little vision, looked at Lin Ke with different eyes. Level 15 should be able to touch the law, but it was only in theory. Just like the experts said, in theory every family has a deposit of 500,000. Theory and practice, in many cases, are very different. This Spartan was able to use a law-like fluctuation in an ordinary fight at level 15, which was enough to show his amazing talent. And if this law was about the Takai of Spartan, then it is possible that the Nasan crystal wall system may add another rule in the future. While everyone was thinking about it, they saw the situation on the field change again. The black and white raccoon brothers who had originally launched an overwhelming attack slowed down their attacks, and in contrast, Lin Ke's seemingly fast and slow movements occupied everyone's eyes. It seemed leisurely. It seemed grand. It seemed infinite. It seemed to have an extreme. Slowly, the two mists, one black and one white, naturally entangled the hands of the Spartan. The raccoon brothers could not get close to Lin Ke at all, as if there was an absolute defense field within Lin Ke's arms. No matter where they attacked, Lin Ke's palms would just block their attacks. Lin Ke seemed to have fallen into a state of enlightenment, waving his hands non-stop and closing his eyes. But as the black and white raccoon brothers attacked, Lin Ke began to frown slightly. A subtle but clear voice reached everyone's ears. No, not enough. Lin Ke frowned, and then uttered a few words. Everyone, attack me. The voice was not loud, but it shocked everyone. Everyone, attack me. The others were still stunned. These intermediate gladiators, plus the junior gladiator Athena, rushed towards Lin Ke together. Enlightenment. Among professionals, this obviously requires magic power, a huge amount of magic power. But what about the gladiators? These intermediate gladiators didn't know, but they could imagine that this Sparta was not a fool. He needs pressure. But the pressure from the black and white raccoons is far from enough. In this case, then attack. It happened that these gladiators, including the crocodile gladiator, had also considered it when Lin Ke was fighting with the black and white raccoon brothers just now. If you want to join the Takai martial arts gym, then the owner Sparta must be as strong as possible. Attack. However, several intermediate gladiators still reserved their strength in case Lin Ke couldn't hold on, so they could also hold back. The hooves of the centaur gladiator, the whip tail of the crocodile gladiator, the hand hammer of the conifer gladiator, in addition to the black and white raccoon brothers, and the cat nurse Athena. The attacks of these gladiators arrived around Lin Ke almost instantly. They didn't aim at the vital points, but at the non-vital points. However, what was shocking was that no matter who attacked, Lin Ke's hands caught it gently in an instant, and then gently picked it apart. Impossible. The crocodile gladiator couldn't help but blurt out. You know, in the previous fight, Sparta didn't even dare to touch his tail. But now, he can gently pick his tail apart? The other gladiators had similar ideas, so they increased the strength of their hands one by one. But then they found that Lin Ke didn't even move his body. Even the conifer hammer attacking from above and Athena's attack from below were blocked by Lin Ke's hands. They were all blocked. Several gladiators' eyes widened, and Athena was furious. Even if the black and white raccoon brothers were only counted as one person, there were 4 intermediate gladiators and 1 junior gladiator. Only higher level gladiators could handle such a lineup, right? And they couldn't be unscathed. Standing there without moving like Lin Ke. Several gladiators' eyes flickered. Could it be this Sparta really be a gladiator master? Chapter 628 Classical Mechanics. Very likely. Originally, these gladiators didn't believe Sparta very much. After all, normally, Sparta would definitely brag when promoting itself. Just like they often say to the outside world that they have the fighting power comparable, close to, similar to that of senior gladiators. In fact, no one knows whether it is true or not. So, they didn't believe Lin Ke's words at first, but Lin Ke should have the level of a senior gladiator, plus those so-called martial arts, so they were attracted. But now it seems that it is far more than that. It is very likely that this Sparta may really be a powerful gladiator master. It's just that this gladiator master did not fight through the layers of fighting in the arena, but trained himself outside the arena. This is very common in the arena. Whether it is from the jungle or the grassland, there are geniuses with extraordinary talents who can rush to the senior gladiator as soon as they enter the arena. Although Sparta does not have the flavor of the rainforest or grassland, it seems that Sparta is more like a fan who studies gladiator by himself. After all, if most gladiators had money, it would be impossible for them to choose to be gladiators as their profession at the beginning. Compared to living at home, going to work, and coming home every day, eating something, drinking a little wine, reading comics, newspapers, and novels. The life of a gladiator, if you regard gladiatorial combat as a job, is almost the same as that of an adventurer outside. Therefore, people like Sparta who regard gladiatorial combat as a hobby are still quite awesome. A gladiator master created by hobbies. This is equivalent to the person of the year in Dahuang City. Take a break these few days, and after the break, Dahuang City should announce the person of the year in various fields. For example, the Ministry of Industry will issue model worker medals to factory employees, and they can also give them the opportunity to become workers for free. There are such opportunities in large libraries, arenas, large shopping malls, etc. And the arena is generally awarded to the new gladiator masters each year. If there is no gladiator master, it will be awarded to the best gladiator in many dimensions such as winning rate. These intermediate gladiators thought, if Sparta returns to the Tekai martial arts hall this time, and then goes to the arena, to play the ladder match, then wouldn't he be this year's person of the year? Exclamation mark. Last year's person of the year has been decided, and will be announced in a few days. It is estimated that it is the newly promoted gladiator master, Master Yoda, from the Goblin clan of the Holy Life Alliance. But this year's person of the year, the more these intermediate gladiators think about it, the more possible it is. However, at this moment, Lin Ke's voice came out again. Not enough. Lin Ke, who was in the process of enlightenment, felt that the pressure was still not enough. Limit. He wanted to find the limit. At this time, he suddenly realized not only Tekai or gladiator, martial arts, etc., but the law. Newton's classical mechanics, pressure, aerodynamics, human dynamics, mechanical mechanics, etc., are all contained in the Tekai martial arts deductions. Tekai and martial arts, in the final analysis, are the applied science of classical mechanics. 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. Connect and transform, use softness to overcome hardness, etc. The translated names are the laws of mechanics. However, Lin Ke, through the battle with the Black and White Raccoon brothers, has touched the edge of this law. The laws and theorems of the previous life can be transformed into powerful extraordinary power in Nassim. However, from knowing this to applying it, it requires transformation. Lin Ke knew a lot of laws and theorems before, and now, his understanding of mechanics may allow him to have an extra skill. Skills after level 15. After level 15, skills can completely depict some regular power. It just so happens that Lin Ke's scientist skills are all thermodynamics and optics. Originally, he wanted to come up with a new skill for thermodynamics, which he had the deepest understanding of, but now it seems that he can expand others. Mechanics is just right. It will be so cool when he gathers physics. But at this time, Lin Ke just feels that the pressure is not enough. Everyone, including students, all come together. Lin Ke shouted with his eyes closed. Students also come together? Exclamation mark. Everyone present was shocked. There are hundreds of students here. It is not so easy to take a punch from each one, right? What's more, these students are not ordinary people. There is no saying that a random punch can kill a master, but there is a similar saying. However, seeing Lin Ke's impenetrable fist, the intermediate gladiators hesitated again. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up. Athena didn't care so much. She trusted Lin Ke very much now, so she called other students. Several intermediate gladiators were also called by Athena. You guys, let your students go up quickly. We will be a family in the future. Don't be so fussy. So, a large group of people squeezed over. Then they found that the space around Lin Ke was too small to squeeze in and couldn't get in. So Athena arranged people again, one group at a time, and went into fight in batches, surrounding Lin Ke, and when they were tired, they would be replaced by the next group. Under this round-robin battle, Lin Ke's arms were directly swung into after images, and he finally felt the pressure. Under this pressure, his Teikai momentum became more and more harmonious, and a black and white yin and yang fish pattern was faintly formed around him. And as the momentum was formed, let alone touching Lin Ke's hand, now everyone couldn't even get close to Lin Ke, unless they use the power of professionals. But they don't need to go up now. Lin Ke's figure stood still in it, waving his arms to leave after images, and his speed reached a certain level. At the same time, after reaching a certain critical point, the speed in the eyes of everyone slowed down again, and it was getting slower and slower. But when the professionals present use the power of their profession, they could vaguely see that Lin Ke's speed was actually getting faster and faster. In this extremely fast speed, Lin Ke seemed to be practicing Teikai slowly and leisurely, like an old man or an old lady in the park, leisurely and leisurely. But everyone present knew that they could never get close to Lin Ke. Absolute defense. Just relying on the physical strength of ordinary people, they have achieved a field that is almost absolute defense. And as Lin Ke's speed increased, it seemed to have reached a certain extreme. After this extreme, Lin Ke's body finally couldn't bear this pressure and began to transform into an elemental body. After the elemental body, there was the power of law and the power of rules. Finally, the body formed by the power of rules reached a certain peak, and then the speed began to decline rapidly. In the eyes of everyone, Lin Ke's body was transformed into a hazy elemental body, which looked like a mist element. Then, after a few minutes, Lin Ke's hand stopped, and the speed approached zero. Chapter 629, Horrifying Speculations about the Life of Sparta. As soon as Lin Ke stopped, a mysterious wave emanated from him. Along with it, his uncontrollable aura was also emanated. When he was extremely relaxed, his hidden aura of level 18 was naturally exposed. When this aura was released, everyone present was stunned. This. Level 18. This is level 18. Goddess of finance. Am I dreaming? I'm going to faint. So powerful, Landru's leg. The students exclaimed one by one, and several intermediate gladiators were also shocked. Level 18, what does it mean? There are not many level 18 masters in the entire Great Wasteland City. If they are in the Church of Gods, they are the high priests and bishops of one side. If they are in the Kingdom of Black and White, they have merits and opportunities, and they are also figures like Marcoses. How many level 18 masters are there in the Great Wasteland City? No more than 50. Of course, this does not count the number of people in the Great Wasteland University. But that is also amazing. Level 18 means that from the hurdle of the level 15 law body, you have reached the hurdle of crossing the epic level. At this time, they are already the backbone of a faction. The core of some small factions is level 18. For example, some small factions similar to the Forest Hut, and in some large factions, although they are not at the top, they are also the backbone of the middle level. In Dahuang City, many ministers, responsible persons, etc. are not level 18 strongmen. The gap between level 18 and level 15 is much larger than the gap between level 15 and level 10. And the gap between level 10 and ordinary people is also very large. The gap between ordinary people and dogs is also very large. But to put it simply, the gap between level 18 and level 10 strongmen is much larger than the gap between ordinary people and dogs. Dogs and ordinary people may fight back and forth, but level 18 and level 10 are basically a crushing situation. Therefore, everyone present, in the eyes of the Sparta in front of them, is probably not as good as a dog in the eyes of ordinary people. Thinking of this, the intermediate gladiators who were a little hesitant just now instantly calmed down. Damn. You said you were level 18 earlier. There are a few gladiator masters who are only level 15, and the best are level 16. You are a level 18 big man, and you are still pretending to be a pig, and eating a tiger? Exclamation mark. If you had said it earlier, we could have avoided a beating. Several intermediate gladiators, especially the crocodile gladiator, were secretly complaining. But they also knew that, even if they had a fight, they would not necessarily be convinced. Now, knowing that Sparta is not only strong in mortal body, but also very high in level, the last bit of dissatisfaction in their hearts is gone. Conquered. Completely convinced. Ms. Athena. The conifer gladiator hesitated. Has Mr. Sparta always been so powerful? Athena was also in a daze at this time, and she reacted after hearing what the conifer gladiator said. Yes, that's it. Mr. Sparta revealed his 18th level aura at the beginning, so I followed him. Athena put on a proud look, and then the rhino behind her suddenly raised his hand and asked, "But teacher Athena, didn't you say before that Mr. Sparta begged you, so you..." "Shut up. Oh, stupid academy, go get water for the water tank tomorrow." Athena slapped him. However, the conifer gladiator did not pay attention to anything else at this time. He looked worried and seemed to be thinking about something silently in his heart. But several other gladiators heard it. They did not care about what Athena said to the students, but were curious about Lin Ke's ability to hide his breath. You know, in NASAing, hiding levels is a rare thing. Basically, you can sense who is what level, unless someone has learned skills and magic similar to concealing breath, or even directly ingrained this skill, or a profession like thief has it. Otherwise, most intelligent life will not hide their breath. Many professionals wish that the whole world would know how powerful they are, such as a certain conceited king. And Sparta in front of him is obviously not the kind of profession that hides breath, so he hides his breath, which is obviously intentional. So, why hide his breath? Combined with the situation they investigated, Sparta is a descendant of a down and out noble. Bullshit. Which noble would be down and out at level 18? Not to mention level 18, even level 15 might not be down and out. Moreover, it is impossible for an 18th level person to sneak into the great wilderness. You know, there may be more gods and legends in the great wilderness than 18th level professionals. Such an 18th level person either hides his identity and retires to the countryside to avoid being hunted by his enemies, and the reason for the family's decline is that the enemies are too powerful. Or, this person actually gave the Scarlet Great Wilderness false information, and he may actually be the second generation of the Great Wilderness. The second generation of the Great Wilderness. Thinking of this, these intermediate gladiators looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. This is easy to guess. But now they are thinking about which nobleman in the Great Wilderness the second generation is from. Could it be Lord Watson's? The crocodile gladiator and several others discussed in a low voice. Impossible. The centaur denied softly. His voice was like a mosquito. Let's not consider the descendants of the heads of the departments for now. Most of these adults are followers of Lin Ke at present. They are still in a very fast rising period. I haven't heard of any of them getting married. The centaur continued, and at the same time he looked at the other side. Athena and the students were discussing fiercely. They were in high spirits, and didn't notice them. So he continued, if we go down, it's the supervisors of each area, or the directors of each branch. Why not be bolder? The conifer gladiator came over and whispered, could it be the descendants of the chairman of the Gladiator Association who is in charge of the arena? Impossible. The other gladiators denied it one after another. How could it be possible? No matter how high the level is, it can't be that high. That's the chairman of the Gladiator Association. The level is different from that of an ordinary factory manager. It belongs to the department directly under the minister. How could the descendants of that kind of person open a small martial arts school? And if the descendants of the directly administered chairman opened a martial arts school, how could they tolerate them making trouble again and again? They would have been dealt with long ago. Besides, Watson would not just come out to guarantee at that time. he would probably come to inspect in person and even become a member of the Teikai martial arts gym. After all, he was of the Iron Fist bloodline. What's impossible? The Black and White Raccoon brothers' voices were a little louder, and Athena over there heard it. So, Athena came over with her arms folded, and her charming face was full of pride. Our Spartan boss is level 18, how can it be impossible? If you don't know, you might think she is not a cat woman, but a peacock girl. Oh no, a peacock man. The kind that is spreading its tail. Chapter 630 New Skill Teikai. No, nothing, we believe it very much. At this time, a flattering appeared on the ferocious face of the crocodile gladiator. That, Athena, Ms. Athena, Mr. Sparta's family is. Do you think I'm stupid? Athena rolled her eyes. Don't ask about things you shouldn't ask, just work hard for your boss. As she said that, Athena patted the clothes on the crocodile gladiator's scales and belly. Do a good job, and I will teach you the boss's inch power and Teikai later. You don't know how to do it yourself. The crocodile gladiator thought to himself, but nodded and smiled. Okay, thank you very much. While they were chatting, Lin Ke's side was once again a wave. In this wave, Lin Ke slowly opened his eyes. The originally dazzling white light slowly dissipated in the depths of Lin Ke's pupils, and ordinary brown pupils appeared instead. Thank you for your help. Lin Ke smiled, and anyone could see that he was in a good mood. Mr. Sparta, have you broken through? The crocodile gladiator asked cautiously. I originally thought that Sparta was a level 15 person. Although he was powerful, he couldn't be lawless. But if he was level 18, he might be a rich and powerful person, so he had to be careful when he spoke. I guess so. Lin Ke came over refreshed, not feeling like he had just fought, but like he had just had a massage and healthcare. Natural, relaxed, and with a hint of pleasure. Breakthrough? Level 19. Athena's eyes lit up. No. Lin Ke said helplessly, it's just a breakthrough in skills. Skill breakthrough. Everyone nodded. It turned out that it was not a level breakthrough. Then everyone was stunned again in an instant. Skill breakthrough? Skill breakthrough. What the hell? Is there such a long battle for skill breakthrough? Just now, a lot of people all went up. In the end, they were blocked one by you, old man, with the strength of ordinary people. If this thing becomes a skill, it would be a very powerful close range attack. But everyone present was just stunned for a moment, and then they reacted in an instant. That's right, a skill with such a big battle can only mean that it is very powerful. If ordinary people can fight against a group of them with their strength, what about the strength of professionals? Wouldn't it be possible to fight against a group of professionals? When everyone was shocked, Lin Ke looked around and randomly distinguished them. He found that the expressions of those who came to make trouble had changed from the initial provocative expressions to the current respect mixed with awe. Indeed, with the strength of level 18, it is completely possible to challenge the gods in some secondary planes. This is a height that most intelligent life forms cannot reach in their lifetime. Few students present are sure to break through level 10, let alone level 15 and higher level 18. You should know that Lin Ke spent a huge amount of assets to break through level 15 and finally broke through. It is difficult for ordinary people to break through level 15. Most of them can only do it through hard work, and they cannot suppress it. They have to break through as soon as they feel it. Unlike Lin Ke. And through today's accidental events, Lin Ke finally has the next skill. Mechanic skill. Teikai. Use force to fight force. Receive and transform. Hit the bull across the mountain. Resonance. And a series of applications, all included in it. This is Lin Ke's latest skill. Teikai. Originally, Lin Ke was thinking that the next skill might be to further deepen his optical skills, better connect optics and thermodynamics, and create joint skills. But now, it is also good to continue to expand the physics skills. Physics is a subject that touches the essence and mystery of the world, and classical mechanics is an indispensable part of it. Maybe Lin Ke can use this to explore the laws of the 4 fundamental forces in the future. No, maybe the 4 fundamental forces have already involved the rule level, and may even involve the fundamental law level. In the previous life, gravity, electromagnetic interaction, weak interaction, and strong interaction were the 4 fundamental forces in nature. If Lin Ke could master and use them, it would undoubtedly be very strong, and could even be used as a trump card. Of course, that was all later. Now, integrate these guys first. Everyone. Lin Ke spoke, attracting all attention, although everyone's attention was originally on him. Today, I'm very happy. First, it is because I have learned a new skill, and this skill is also due to your help. Second, it is because you have finally joined our Teikai martial arts school, this big family. Our Teikai martial arts school will eventually become the #1 martial arts school in Dahuang City, and even the #1 martial arts school in the entire Nassam. Lin Ke's voice was extremely high. Whether it was Teikai or Baji, whether it was gladiator or martial arts, after Lin Ke's epiphany, he found that the final understanding may be related to the rules of mechanics, and even the rules of martial arts and gladiator. It is related to the rules, that is, legendary martial artists and legendary gladiators can appear. As long as you fully master and comprehend a rule, you can become a legend. The prospects of these two paths are extremely bright. Therefore, Lin Ke was naturally very happy. In the future, our martial arts school will have the god of martial arts, the god of gladiator, and even the legendary martial artists and legendary gladiators. Hearing Lin Ke's words, not only the students, but also several intermediate gladiators and Athena were excited. For some reason, they felt that Lin Ke's words were touching and inspiring. However, Lin Ke's next words made everyone doubt their abilities. Of course. Before that, you just need to become a gladiator master. Before becoming a gladiator master, you just need to break through the advanced gladiator. Before breaking through the primary gladiator, you need to be enlightened and inaugurated. Lin Ke smiled and said, before enlightenment and inauguration, all you need to do is to follow my command, start practicing, and understand from it what is Teikai. As he spoke, Lin Ke took a step forward and made a Teikai starter posture, and a mysterious law of breath spread. In front of him, a group of people looked at this posture and couldn't help but follow and learn and put on the Teikai posture. Each one looked out of place, but after all, they were all gladiators. After trying to control themselves, each one looked a little bit like a real person, and Lin Ke also naturally began to teach the next move. Everyone, follow my movements, and imagine yourself stroking the mane of an Anglin wild horse. Move slowly and gently, but keep your arms tight and find the critical point between hardness and softness, speed, and slowness. Next, it's the right wild horse's mane split next. Chapter 631, Your Highness Lin Ke, I'm about to start. In his previous life, Lin Ke often saw martial arts training scenes on TV. There were a lot of people in Shaolin Temple lined up in a square to practice boxing. There were people lined up in a square to practice boxing at a school sports meeting. There were old men and old women practicing boxing in the park, and so on. But today, in front of him were intelligent beings of various races practicing martial arts and boxing together. Dog-headed people, big trees, cat women, rhinoceros people, leopard people, raccoons, crocodiles. They looked like cosplay. But compared to his previous life, the various races in this life did not have such strong comprehension. After getting used to the power flowing through the body, it is difficult to return to being immortal. In the previous life, there were only mortals from beginning to end, just like a mole that has never flown. How can there be such a thing as losing wings? And in this life, it is equivalent to a flying mole, which requires that it cannot fly and can only burrow into the ground. The same. Gladiators are okay, whether they are junior gladiators or intermediate gladiators, or some students who have fought many games in the arena. They actually have a certain control over their professional power and can control it freely. However, most of the students were still novices and could only use the power of the arena to suppress their power, but could not control it themselves. At this time, Lin Ke led them to train Teikai in a gentle way. In the past, these people, even if they were trained, generally only trained in fierce fighting methods. It is impossible for those noble soldiers to practice Teikai in a group on the training ground. But practicing Teikai is a test of control, and it can also make these people understand what is soft and what is hard. It is not that only women can be soft, and hard is not only men can be hard. Lin Ke taught them all the moves of Teikai, and taught Athena some core ideas, and also decided on everyone's treatment. salary, etc. and then left. Just now I have learned new skills, and now is the time to use and learn. Outside the city, the lava swamp. The Great Wilderness Plain is called the Great Wilderness Plain, but in fact 80% of the place is a lava swamp. Just like the earth, 80% is water. In the lava swamp, the group of Warcraft kings also stayed well, but with the Great Wasteland City, they all became modernized. For example, as a male phoenix, he customized bird clothes and jewelry in them all day long, such as leaf clothes and flower clothes. He looked like a peacock, not like a phoenix. The others were similar. The legendary Warcraft king Bloodthirsty Iron Bull, its tribe mated with Gila Bull all year round to produce special cattle mounts, which had a large sales volume before there were bicycles in the Great Wasteland City. It not only solved the problem of the larger tribe base, but also made a lot of money. Although there were still many orders later, the bicycles were not as popular as before, but the arrival of Phase's Black Gold Volcano Demon Bull brought it business again. Countless bloodthirsty iron bulls, Gila bulls, etc. were taken to mate with the Black Gold Volcano Demon Bull, and the experimental equipment fees made it a lot of money. So, it got fat. Of course, the 22nd level god before, the Ant God, also made a lot of money because of his Ant monster construction team. Even now, his divine duties have spread to the fields of architecture, engineering, and construction, and maybe he can go further. The green water python is similar. In short, these monster kings have undergone earth-shaking changes compared to their previous lives. In the past, they ate raw meat and drank blood, had a bad living environment, and had rough artistic aesthetics. But now, eating, drinking, defecating, and urinating are all close to the Great Wasteland City, such as the special food for the bloodthirsty Iron Bull monster. Food, clothing, housing, and transportation are also close to the Great Wasteland City. For example, the legendary green water python often polishes and waxes its scales, and sometimes goes to a nail salon for a manicure. Not nails, but scales. So, at this time, flying in front of Lin Ke are some weird looking monster kings. Looking at them, Lin Ke suspects that these monsters have been corrupted by the beautiful capital life. To be honest, these monster kings are simply the ultimate helmsmen of the big capital family. One by one, look at the sagging belly of the bloodthirsty Iron Bull, look at the thickened body of the green water python. Lin Ke said helplessly, "Are you sure you haven't been downgraded to Xinghu? This is fucking. Even pets can't be fattened up so quickly, right? Your Highness Lin Ke, believe us." The phoenix waved its colorful flower wings and came over. Its claws were painted with pure natural plant pigment nail polish, bright and translucent. No, you'll lose all these things when you start. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Back then, the phoenix and the eldest prince combined and colluded with each other. The eldest prince wanted to find the traitor of the kingdom, that is, the Deep Blue Grand Duke, while the phoenix was to purge and control the lava swamp, and could also hug the thigh of the sleepless emperor. It can be said that it stirred up the situation. At the beginning, Lin Ke thought that the real biggest boss behind the scenes in the lava swamp war was the phoenix. But what about now? Damn, this is not a phoenix, this is a canary, right? Your Highness Lin Ke, our power of controlling the laws has not declined at all. Don't worry. The green water python spit out the snake tongue and then moved its tail subconsciously, rolling up a ball of water element. However, this ball of water element turned into the shape of a hamburger. Lin Ke, you like to eat hamburgers, don't you, big fat snake? The green water python also reacted and quickly changed the water bowl back to its original shape. Okay, you don't need any lore ability. Lin Ke waved his hand. You only need the flesh, that is, to attack me with the flesh alone. Let's start with the bloodthirsty Iron Bull. As he said, Lin Ke landed, and the kings of the monsters also landed. Lin Ke came here to find them to experiment with new skills. This is the first skill of the law body after level 15, and Lin Ke doesn't know the power. You can't fight in the city, right? It will be bad if it's like Godzilla's invasion and ruins everywhere. Your Highness Lin Ke, are you sure you want me to hit you with my flesh? The bloodthirsty Iron Bull suddenly became shy. What kind of words and sentences are you using? Lin Ke said helplessly, yes, that's right, but you can hold back a little, don't be so violent right away. What is this talking about? Lin Ke was a little speechless, but still said, in short, hold back, I want to see how my skills should be used. Okay. The bloodthirsty Iron Bull nodded his huge head. Then I'll do it slowly. If it hurts, just say, come on. Lin Ke was already powerless to this conversation. Seeing this, the bloodthirsty Iron Bull sprayed a huge amount of air from his nostrils, and the muscles of his body tensed up. Then I'm going to start the ramming, Your Highness Lin Ke, hold on. After saying that, the bloodthirsty Iron Bull moved his four hooves and rushed over, like a small mountain. Chapter 632 Take-I Skills and the King of Warcraft. No matter how vulgar the bloodthirsty Iron Bull's language is, it is still a powerful legendary Warcraft king. The legendary Warcraft king may not be as powerful as some intelligent beings. After all, the professions and skills of intelligent beings are inherited. As for Warcraft, there are too few professions that can be employed, and the most famous one is the profession Mount. For example, the Phoenix is employed as a Phoenix, which is the same as the Sun God in terms of ethnicity, but they are not related at all. The Sun God is the god of the Phoenix clan, and the Phoenix is just a Warcraft. It is equivalent to the gap between the president of the ugly country and the chief of the savage tribe. So generally speaking, the legendary Warcraft kings cannot beat the legendary intelligent beings. But no matter what, they are still legends. Especially Warcraft. Except for things like laws, weapons, and souls, let alone other things. In terms of the body, Warcraft is definitely the first class. The scales, claws, etc. of Warcraft have been trained since they were weak, and they are trained and polished step by step, and they are very strong. Although the competition after the legendary level is almost not a physical competition, except for the 5-color dragon mother, the others are basically the laws and rules of the competition. However, the scales and claws of the legendary Magic Beast King are almost equivalent to artifacts. Artifacts. The bloodthirsty Iron Bull rushed over with a body like a small mountain of artifacts, just like a small mountain of artifacts coming towards him. Lin Ke suddenly felt the pressure. The bloodthirsty Iron Bull slowed down, and there was no magic fluctuation on its body. It was obvious that it wanted to give Lin Ke some time to adapt first, and then slowly increase its strength. Bang! The bloodthirsty Iron Bull rushed over, and its two horns were directly held by Lin Ke on the left and right. The magic bull like a small mountain was firmly blocked by Lin Ke. I told you, use more force. Lin Ke laughed and said, I don't even need to experiment with your skills. Seeing this, the bloodthirsty Iron Bull glared. Your Highness Lin Ke is really strong. Moo. It made a long cow cry, and its four hooves immediately exerted force. The power of level 15. Lin Ke, who was holding the bull's horn, suddenly felt a strong force coming from the front, as if a train hit him. However, with Lin Ke's current strength, it didn't matter whether it was a train, a high-speed train, or a plane. It was epic, and it was already beyond the ordinary sense of strength. Haha. Your Highness Lin Ke, be careful. The metallic luster on the bloodthirsty Iron Bull flashed violently. Suddenly, Lin Ke felt an irresistible force coming. It's time. Lin Ke immediately used the skill he had just carved. Scientist skill, Take-I. Suddenly, Lin Ke let go of the bloodthirsty Iron Bull's horns with both hands, and his body naturally rotated to a Take-I starting angle. A cyclone shield immediately formed outside his body, covering him like a thin film. The bloodthirsty Iron Bull's horns pushed forward, and then the whole body seemed to slip, and was gently brought to the other side by the cyclone shield. The bloodthirsty Iron Bull staggered, and almost fell there. How is it possible? The bloodthirsty Iron Bull stamped his feet fiercely, stood firm, turned around and looked at Lin Ke, somewhat incredulous. My power just now. Ordinary epic level monsters can't resist it. In its perception, it was as if it had just twisted its ankle, and then it was off. Sprained ankle? Exclamation mark. Even if it crushed a mountain now, the wax on its hooves would not fall off at all. How could it be possible to sprain its ankle? Haha. Come on, all of you. Lin Ke's hearty voice came over. Don't use the legendary power. Don't use the legendary power. All of you come up. This is a one-on-many. The phoenixes looked at each other, and then rushed over together. However, no matter whether it was the bird claws, and jaws or snake tails, they would be diverted after hitting Lin Ke's shield. Take-I unloading. This is the unloading effect of Teikai skills. Compared with other skills that need to be explored slowly, thanks to the combat application of Teikai and martial arts in the previous life, Lin Ke can directly use various changes in the skills. Like before, when using the streamlined air pressure shield, Lin Ke would only use it to support a protective shield. Later, he used it to make air pressure blades, air pressure needles, etc., and it has a wider range of uses. The same is true for Teikai. It was originally just an ordinary skill, but Lin Ke could immediately know many uses for it. This is the case with the force removing shield at this time. Several Warcraft kings went into battle, but all the attacks were removed. Lin Ke changed the way the Teikai skill was used again, and then said, continue to attack. Force removing shield, recoil shield, resonance shield, the joint use of the Teikai skill and the pressure skill. Lin Ke only needed to merge the two skills together to become a combination skill, and the air pressure shield could naturally bring the characteristics of Teikai. Lin Ke even removed the shield and used some offensive means to directly fight with several Warcraft kings in close combat. The kind of unpredictable 4-2-pound deflection, resonance, and hitting the bull from behind the mountain made the bloodthirsty Iron Bull and the others call it weird. Finally, several Warcraft kings could no longer attack at the epic level, and only after reaching the 19th level did they break the shield. A skill used by an epic can withstand the attack of the 19th level. This skill can be considered very successful. Of course, Lin Ke knew that the application of mechanical skills was far more than that. When he came into contact with the 4 basic forces in the future, it would be easy for him to directly use Shinra Tensei and Shibaku Tensei. Your Highness Lin Ke, you are really awesome. The bloodthirsty Iron Bull came over and praised sincerely. I don't know where these legendary Warcraft kings learned these words. Andrew's legs rarely said it, but brought many of Lin Ke's methods of praising people in his previous life. Old bull, you have been living a good life recently. You must be quite free, fat, and strong. Lin Ke also praised sincerely. Bloodthirsty Iron Bull said a little embarrassedly, no, this is all thanks to your highness. As a result, Lin Ke changed the topic. By the way, the Mount Laboratory needs a batch of new breeding units recently. The genes of the Black Gold Volcano Demon Bull race are about to be deciphered. You can take some time to go and breed some high quality cattle. So bloodthirsty Iron Bull's face changed drastically, going to extract again. I feel that the bone marrow was almost extracted last time. I don't have a drop left now, your highness. Really not a drop left. Lin Ke glanced at it. You are a legend. Don't embarrass yourself. Think about how large your tribe is. 90% of it is your hard work. Don't be modest. Bloodthirsty Iron Bull and other Warcraft kings used to have nothing to do when they were bored, so they could only find their own tribe to do it. How do they spend the long nights? Before the Great Wasteland City, they didn't have much entertainment activities, and they were legends, so just look at the huge export of the bloodthirsty Iron Bull tribe to know how idle the bloodthirsty Iron Bull was before. Seeing the bloodthirsty Iron Bull being exploited, the other beast kings snickered, and then Lin Ke looked at them again. You guys should go to Chapter 633 Soraka's Wonderful Vacation. After experimenting with his skills, Lin Ke felt relieved. It was great, very powerful. This Teikai skill made up for the shortcomings of Lin Ke's melee attack to a large extent. Although Lin Ke rarely fights in close combat or even close combat with others, it is better to be prepared. If it can be solved with an overheat skill, then use overheat, and if it can be solved with a pressure skill, then use pressure with a knife. If someone gets close to you, then naturally you have to use Teikai to solve it. After solving this skill problem, Lin Ke moved on to the next place. The Great Library. Risha closed the book and slowly exhaled. How about Risha? Let's go have a cup of hot milk tea. The spring chill has not yet passed, and Gabriel next to Risha is wearing a thick down jacket, but he doesn't look bloated at all, but rather has a kind of cute feeling. Okay. Risha nodded and turned to look at the black-haired boy next to him. Silas, let's go. Silas is Risha's roommate, but his family is not very rich, so he came to see Risha during this holiday. Risha also likes his brother very much, so he always brings him to the library. When Silas heard Risha's invitation, He secretly and carefully glanced at Gabriel, who was smiling like a flower, blushed, and then replied to Risha, okay, okay. Huh. Gabriel didn't notice Silas's situation, but just heard that his and Risha's world of two people was broken, so he became angry. Okay, okay. Let's go together. It is said that light bulbs will soon be popular. No wonder it is so bright here. Hey, what light bulbs? Where are you going? Do you want to drink milk tea? At this time, the little sticky rice Soraka also appeared, and she was dressed in sunshine and beautiful clothes, as if she was on a summer beach. We need to. Gabriel felt that he was almost exhausted and waved his hand. Come on, I'll treat you. Where shall we go? You're here too? Risha was a little surprised. Aren't you supposed to be in the arena during your holidays? Also, aren't you cold? Cold? Not cold. Soraka raised an eyebrow. Are you cold? She's a dragon. Ignore her. Gabriel stood up and collapsed on Soraka. I've been reading books with this blockhead for a week. I'm about to vomit. Hold me up. Reading for a week. That's so boring. Also, I'm not a dragon. Dragon bloodline is out of date now. At least my sister-in-law told me so. Soraka curled her lips. Let's go to the big shopping mall to have some fun. The new milk tea shop seems to be called Mixu Crystal City. As long as you can sing its theme song, you can get ice cream cones. Really? Gabriel suddenly became excited. Women couldn't walk when they heard about things like discounts and promotions. Come on, let's go together. Rashad and Silas looked at each other and agreed. So, all four of them walked towards the door, but halfway through, Soraka's face suddenly changed. After a while, she became dejected. The other two didn't notice, but Rashad looked thoughtfully at a certain layer behind him, as if something there attracted his attention. Wait, we won't go. Soraka suddenly spoke and stood still. Gabriel was stunned. What's wrong? My brother asked me to go to a plane to play and come back after the holiday. Soraka said dejectedly. He said this is our homework. You are so miserable. Gabriel patted Soraka on the shoulder. There is still homework during the holiday. This is something that intelligent life can do. Before he finished speaking, Risha covered his mouth. Risha was a little helpless. Although that person has a good temper and is very kind, he is talking to him like this, and he is up there. What's the difference between this and saying it to his face? Just now he sensed the presence of a strong person above level 15, not far above. Now it seems that it is probably the one who is arranging tasks with his sister. Didn't you hear clearly? At this time, Silas said faintly, if I heard correctly, the common language of Nassing that Soraka said should be we. As soon as this was said, Rashad and Gabriel's faces changed at the same time, and then they turned their heads and stared at Soraka. Soraka nodded with a bitter face. Rashad frowned, but I still have to read. Gabriel's face turned pale. Go to other planes? Then my baked milk fruit dumplings, milk tea, hot pot and fried rice. The little guy can eat a lot. At this moment, a handsome young man with a smile on his face suddenly appeared in front of them, holding a crimson scepter in his hand. The young man first looked at Rashad and said, Rashad, you have to know that mathematics is just mathematics, but the world is more than mathematics. Mr. Lin Ke. Rashad hammered his chest, and his eyes, which had been calm, burst into amazing enthusiasm. It was obvious that he admired Lin Ke so much that even his voice changed. Hearing this whistling voice, Lin Ke smiled helplessly. Go. Some mathematics need to be discovered in nature, and some mathematics also need to find answers from nature. After that, he looked at Gabriel again. Gabriel hurriedly said, Mr. Lin Ke, I really want to go. I really want to go to the secondary plane, but my father has arranged homework. I really can't get away. It's okay. I asked your father and mother. Lin Ke smiled. They are very supportive of this activity and told me that you completed all the homework they assigned on the first day. This Gabriel is the daughter of the financial director of a company under Bulljack. The financial director is an accountant known for his rigor. It's just that this daughter seems to have a lot of small thoughts. Since Lin Ke started to experiment with his skills, he has been reading books in the library for several days. But he just saw Soraka was idle all day long. She only came to the library during the holidays. The rest of the time, she went shopping in the mall or watched dramas in the wonderful land. Instead of this, it is better to let them go to the secondary plane to try their luck. Maybe they can gain something. Of course, the most important thing is that this job was arranged by Garros and Antawa. Originally, Antawa wanted to throw Soraka directly to a large secondary plane and throw her there during the holiday and not take care of anything else. I don't know which genius or loser novel Antawa was poisoned by. Anyway, Lin Ke persuaded her to give up. He found a mid-level plane and arranged mature and steady Laplace and Yale to be responsible for Soraka and the others' safety. Antawa and Garros also trusted Lin Ke, so they just threw this matter to Lin Ke and didn't care. So, Lin Ke took this opportunity to call Soraka's other friends. As for Silas, Lin Ke looked at the last little boy. This little boy had jet black hair and pure black eyes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 634, Journey to the Great Wilderness East Station. Mr. Link, I do. Silas was extremely excited. It was obvious that he admired Link as much as Risha. Of course, most of the young people in Nassing, as long as they knew about it, admired Link. Okay, then, go to the teleportation array. I've asked John to get ready. Lin Ke nodded and disappeared from the spot. People were coming and going around, but no one saw Lin Ke. Even Risha and the others were ignored by the crowd and only blended into the crowd after Lin Ke left. After Lin Ke left, Silas breathed a sigh of relief. Mr. Link is really full of pressure. Silas smoothed his chest, as if Lin Ke had put a lot of pressure on him just now. I think so too. Gabriel poked Soraka with his elbow and asked curiously, don't you feel uncomfortable at home? I usually live with my parents. Soraka was dejected. My brother is actually a very good person. Yes, this is your psychological effect. I have attended Mr. René Descartes' psychology lecture. Risha also echoed beside him. Then why are you so dejected? Gabriel asked again. Soraka said helplessly, because my brother would not assign me tasks for no reason. There are only two possibilities. One is my parents. This strange task must be assigned by my father and mother. No, it must be my mother. Okay, what about the other possibility? Gabriel asked. Soraka sighed again. Either my brother's mind was taken away, and he is now a puppet without intelligence. The three of them immediately looked down on her. Okay, let's talk about what to do now. Soraka said dejectedly, if you throw me into the lava swamp or the elemental forest, it's okay, but throwing me into the secondary plane. The lava swamp and the elemental forest are more dangerous than the secondary plane. The three of them complained in their hearts, but they also knew that Soraka had been brought by Princess Lin Ke to crawl around in the swamp since she was a child. What about wrestling with the swamp giant lizard in the morning and snatching food from the flame lion in the afternoon, etc. I have heard a lot of Soraka before. Compared to the secondary plane, these magical beast gathering places may be more suitable for Soraka. But they are different. They think that no matter what, the secondary plane is worse than the magical beast gathering place in Nassing, right? You know, many natives in the secondary plane are not as strong as Nassing in terms of military strength, such as the previous Fasa. The magical beast gathering place in Nassing is different. It is synonymous with danger. But since we are going to the secondary plane now, we need to think about it carefully. Then let's discuss while walking. Risha pointed to the front. Since this is Mr. Lin Ke's homework, let's do it well. Risha thought this was an opportunity. Silas also nodded desperately. Yes, and we can also see the style of other planes. As a poor family, Silas has never been to the secondary plane. He has only seen it in class and books. But that is very different from actually going there. Not to mention that they are still pioneering, and there must be someone to protect them. Well, this is the only way now. Soraka and Gabriel were obviously in a bad mood, not as excited as Risha and Silas. I remember a class that taught us what to do if we accidentally go to a secondary plane. It seems that the most important thing is to find the coordinates of the time and space teleportation. Or we must remember the coordinates of our NASM. Yes, otherwise we can't teleport back at all. Even if we remember the coordinates, we have to be close enough. By the way, should we bring some food? I think we should bring high energy food, and maybe equipment too. The four of them walked and talked, and finally came to the station, or the teleportation station. As soon as they arrived here, they saw John standing in the distance with a strong presence. John, who was tall and slender, was wearing a dark tuxedo suit, with smooth and bright black hair, a polite and handsome smile on his face, and two people following behind him. One of them was a female cat man, and the other was a lizard man. Miss Orica, Miss Gabrielle, Mr. Ashap, Mr. Silas, hello, nice to meet you. John pounded his chest with a smile. Both his noble etiquette and his voice made people feel like spring breeze. Mr. John, Brother John, Mr. John. Rashab and the others also returned the greetings one by one. There is no time to lose. Let's talk while walking. John made a gesture of invitation to the back, and then walked to the teleportation station first. There are many teleportation arrays in the Great Wilderness East Station, all of which were concentrated by Lin Ke, and exist as a pure teleportation station. There are teleportation arrays to various places in Asing, coming and going every day, and the flow of people can reach millions. Even if there are special professionals stationed here, the magic crystals invested here every day are huge. The teleportation array of the secondary plane is also set up here, so the flow of people has increased many times. It took about 8 small spaces to be integrated to be enough. However, the massive investment of resources also made the Great Wilderness East Station play a good role as a valve for the delivery of fresh blood. John led Rashab and the others to a certain direction, and introduced them as they walked. This time you are going there as a pioneering team. There are many precautions that you should have heard in class, so I won't go into details, but there are a few points that I need to emphasize again. John walked quickly and spoke quickly. Rashad was okay, but the other three could only barely keep up. The first is, except for your teammates, don't easily trust any natives of the secondary plane, even the Virgin Mary. The second is, if you unfortunately lose the teleportation array, you must remember the coordinates of Nasing, otherwise you will be lost in the star world. Third, unlike the previous wrong way, if you can't crush it, then blend in. I believe you have learned about the young master's trip to father. John spoke quickly, but his pronunciation was clear, so Rashab and the others didn't feel uncomfortable listening to this speed. In addition, these two are your teammates. This is Zioguoran, a desert catman, and this is Shabby, a lizardman who once lived in the despair pond. While running, John pointed to the female catman and the disabled lizardman next to him and continued, these two teammates will accompany you. It's up to you how you want to get along with each other. As they spoke, they were approaching a transmission waiting room, which was similar to a waiting room. John stopped and smiled and pointed to the back. Oh, right. This is Rashab, a 15th level mathematician, a self-enlightened professional. Chapter 635, fully prepared. Level 15. And he was self-inspired, not inspired by others? Shabby immediately cast a surprised and envious look. Is this the proud child of Dahuang University? It is indeed amazing. Shabby knows that the students of Dahuang University will definitely be powerful people who stir up the world in the future, and they are also proud children now. But I didn't expect that he was so outstanding, and he was already level 15 in his freshman year. Shabby has never met such an outstanding young man, so he couldn't help but look at Rasha carefully. Zioguoran is the same. In the past, the level 15 professionals they met were all powerful people who ruled a certain area, not young students. In other words, they were originally unable to meet such strong people at this level. Hello everyone, I'm Zioguoran, a level 6 killer. Zioguoran's cat ears moved slightly, and he pounded his chest in a friendly way to show respect. Hello, Mrs. Zioguoran. Rashab and the others saluted one by one. I'm Shabby, a former member of the Despair Pond, and an 8th level killer. The lizardman Shabby relied on his tail to maintain balance. He was a little lame and wore cloth. He was easily overlooked at first glance. He looked more like a killer hidden in the crowd than the delicate and beautiful little nut. Hello, Mr. Shabby. Rashab and the others saluted again. Just as Rashab was about to speak, John smiled and spoke. Then I wish you a pleasant journey. John interrupted their self-introduction in time and pointed to the teleportation array not far away. Several people immediately stopped wanting to introduce themselves, looked at each other, and then walked towards the teleportation array. This teleportation array is a cross-dimensional teleportation array. The input of magic power should be done by John himself. There are also obscure magic fluctuations around the waiting room, which belong to the people guarding the teleportation array. The guards stood in the dark corner, with a sinister aura. They were all well-trained professional soldiers. However, when Rashad and his companions passed through the guards and stood over, when the light of the teleportation array was already on, Soraka's face suddenly changed, and she raised her hand and said, "Wait. We haven't bought anything yet." Before he finished speaking, the teleportation array had been activated by John, and the 6 people disappeared in the light. The young master just doesn't bring too many things for you. John touched his nose and smiled gently, like a big boy next door. The guards beside him turned around consciously, not looking at John, nor listening to what John said. The master in front of him inherited the strength and iron blood of Duke Link. The expression just now, like a little boy, is not something that everyone can see. Ahem. John also found that he was wrong. The main reason was that he loved the house and the people in it, and he also loved the little glutinous rice Soraka, so he couldn't help but do this. But as the master of the city hall, John naturally couldn't let the outside world know his inner softness, so he glanced at the 4 guards lightly. "You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything." The 4 guards didn't move, as if they didn't hear John's words. John nodded with satisfaction, then stood there with his hands behind his back, smiling, like a wax figure. A few minutes later, a figure walked in. "Little Yale, why are you late?" John walked up with a smile and gave Yale a hug. These followers like hugging each other more than beating their chests. Yale was wearing a red lava military uniform at this time, and his expression was full of majesty and competence. He first glanced at the guards around him and raised his eyebrows at John. "One of us." John smiled. So Yale's expression relaxed, less majestic, and became much more comfortable. "Oh, don't mention it. The road is blocked by mounts, and my flying license hasn't been issued yet. I called a flying mount to get here." "Haha, it's okay. Zyro Nuomi and the others just went in. You should go too." John smiled and patted Yale on the shoulder. Yale didn't say much, and walked directly into the teleportation array. John immediately went over to input magic power, and in a burst of light, Yale's figure immediately disappeared. John still did not leave, but waited there as before. After a while, a ray of lightning suddenly gathered around him, and then expanded. From the size of a strand of hair, it became as thick as a bucket, and then gradually became a human shape. "Teacher." John hammered his chest towards the lightning. There was only one person John could call teacher. "Orf." "John, then I'll go over too." Orf was brief and to the point, obviously not wanting to show his face in front of outsiders. John also nodded and said, "Okay teacher, I'll input magic power for you." So, Orf also went in. It wasn't even over. John was still waiting there. After a while, a lazy figure appeared here. "Mr. René Descartes." John smiled and hammered his chest. He smiled for so long, but his smile was not stiff at all, but still made people feel like spring breeze. "Oh, so annoying. Isn't it a holiday today?" René Descartes nodded slightly to John, yawned, and then walked into the teleportation array. The scarab on his shoulder appeared, input magic power, and then René Descartes and the scarab disappeared together. John sent René Descartes away and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Yale can control the situation in secret. With the level that Lin Ke has personally trained in Yale over the years, he can make judgments on the overall situation and form of the entire secondary plane. As a force deterrent, Orf can be a guarantee for Yale to protect the 6 people, and most importantly, to protect Lin Ke's half-sister Zyro Nuomi. Finally, René Descartes, the final trump card, is also there. John thinks that, even if there are more than one dominant powerhouses of Nassen's level in the secondary plane, even if René Descartes can't beat them, he can still escape with Zyro Nuomi Soraka. For the safety of Zyro Nuomi, Lin Ke can say that he has taken great pains. After completing the task, John also hurriedly left the Great Wasteland Station and went to report to Lin Ke. He still had a lot of things to do in the city hall. Secondary plane. Hey. Are you here? Soraka was about to reach out to stop John, but found that he had already arrived in the secondary plane. Yes, we haven't bought anything yet. Gabriel was also stunned. By the way, who of you brought a toothbrush and toothpaste? And shower gel, laundry detergent, shampoo, conditioner, perfume, essential oil? Rasha shrugged and interrupted. We are exploring the secondary plane, not a medieval aristocratic outing. You are the only one who can talk. Gabriel glared at Rasha. You didn't remind us just now. Rasha immediately explained. When teleporting, the more things you bring, the greater the pressure on the main body, including the items in the small space carried by the main body, so it stands to reason. Classmates, I think you can take a look at this first, and then discuss those women's products. At this time, Shabby spoke up. Chapter 636, Mother of Naga. Shabby started talking, and Zyuguoran was also observing the surrounding environment. The four people of Rasha suddenly felt a chill in their hearts. Right. Now is not the time to talk about these messes. Rasha's body flashed slightly, and his body, including his clothes, became transparent. Some numbers and patterns in his body could be seen looming. You are actually a body of law? Shabby, who was not far away, was slightly surprised, then shook his head and muttered, things that were only heard of before are now really common in the wilderness. At this time, Rasha's mental power also rolled out, exploring the unknown land around him. As a mathematician, Rasha's mental power was naturally terrifying. After rolling out and whistling, it directly covered the surroundings. This is a forest, and where they landed, the spatial fluctuations had just dissipated. This kind of small teleportation did not cause much response in the entire plane, because there were not many people teleported. Unlike the noble council that time, there were a lot of strong people, and there were also many people. In addition, the likes of Emperor Wumian and Prince Xingqian were always domineering, so they directly opened a hole in the crystal wall and the sky of Phaser. When Rasha and his companions came, they made much less noise, and did not even attract the attention of the local gods, or the local strongmen. However, Andrew's leg. Rasha's mental power swept over, and when he saw the surrounding scenery, his face turned pale. At this time, Silas, Soraka and Gabriel's faces also changed. This is. Silas widened his eyes, then sniffed hard with his nose, and said in disbelief, the smell of the sea. We are on an isolated island. Rasha also spoke at this time. The place where they were was indeed a forest, but it was a forest on an isolated island. And just now, when his mental power swept over, Rasha found that there were no animals on this isolated island except plants. Not even one. When everyone was silent, Gabriel spoke. I think we should learn from Mr. Robinson. Robinson Crusoe. Thinking of Lin Ke's book, they suddenly felt a little relieved. After a moment of hesitation, Rasha said, how about this? Mr. Shabby and Ms. Zyuguoran go to investigate the surroundings in detail, and we will find a good place to build simple accommodation and fortifications. Okay. Zyuguoran nodded, and Shabby did not refuse. So the two of them turned into two after images, one on the left, and one on the right, to investigate this place. Rasha pointed in a certain direction. There is a natural rock cave there, let's go and take a look. Soraka and the others had no objection, so they followed him, and walked in that direction. After all, mental power can only scan roughly, and they still need to see it in person to see if it is suitable in the end. In another direction, in the center of the ocean, a figure suddenly fell. Ocean? Yale's voice stopped in the air, thinking for a moment, and waited for a while. I don't know how long it will take for Lord Daofu to arrive. Yale just stood in the air with his eyes closed. After a while, Aofu's figure appeared. Little Yale, AOF, who was dressed in a white robe, nodded to Yale. Where are they? I don't know. The transmission distance is about 100 kilometers. Please find them, Lord AOF. Yale shook his head slowly. AOF nodded slightly, closed his eyes, and the legendary mental power roared out. After a while, AOF opened his eyes and pointed in a direction. Let's go, this way. The two flew over there immediately. Yale looked at the scenery here, hesitated for a moment, and then said to AOF, Sir AOF, this seems to be an ocean plane. There are various types of planes. Some planes have only fire, some have only water, and some even have only metal and rock. And here, Yale can detect with his slight perception of the laws that this seems to be an ocean plane with abundant water element. Yes. AOF also replied, other laws are hidden under the ocean and water, but the laws of storm and lightning are also quite prominent. I think this is an ocean plane. AOF gave a definition. Yale frowned. Will this have any effect on Soraka's experience? Maybe. No, this is the place for experience. AOF shook his head slowly. No one can be sure whether they will be stranded in other planes one day. This kind of accidental loss is unreasonable. She must learn to survive in accidents, in various emergencies, and in various environments. This is also Lin Ke's intention. As he said, AOF looked at the sky again, squinted his eyes, and whispered, there are also traces of gods here, but why didn't they react to my arrival? He also thought about fighting a god after entering, so that it would be much easier to do things later. But the gods here seemed to have not noticed him. But what AOF didn't know was that when he and Yale rushed to Rochelle and the others, high in the sky, inside the crystal wall, on the crystal wall of this plane, there are strings of gods' kingdoms that look like water drops, crystal clear and beautiful, but at the same time defenseless. And in the largest water drop, a lazy voice was coming out. Oh, I told you. Expression. No, your action is too stiff. Alas, the people of Azanen's third crew are good. You guys are amazing. Forget it. That what? That Lord Arakawa. Tell you gods to hurry up. Come and give me a back massage first. A relaxing full body massage. What? You haven't even had a massage? If you enter this kingdom of God, you can see a lazy uncle lying on the highest throne in a disheveled and untidy manner. And next to him, there is a humanoid creature with 4 arms that looks like seaweed, trembling and giving him a back massage. This 4-armed humanoid seaweed creature is a woman, but her lower body is a thick tail like a snake, and each scale is made up of high purity divine power. The whole humanoid creature is full of divine brilliance. However, at this time, this humanoid creature is trembling and giving the lazy handsome uncle a back massage. This handsome uncle is none other than Rene Deska. Hey, that's right. Hammer it, pinch it, use more force. Hey, are those gods coming? Let them in. Rene Deska suddenly sat up, and endless pressure emanated from his body. If you close your eyes, you might think that the one sitting here is the insomniac emperor. Yes. The female creature trembled and answered, and then opened the authority of the kingdom of God. Then, a group of gods flashed in the temple. The great mother of Naga, the god above the gods who raise the tide, the supreme. Hey? Who is that? Why is he sitting on the throne of my lord? That's an invader. An invader from another world. Kill. Unforgivable. As soon as the gods came in, they all wanted to kneel down in salute, but then they saw the figure of Rene Deska. They were angry. Chapter 637, Risha's skills. In less than a second, the gods who had just said a few words were pressed to the ground by a strong pressure. If I reveal my true form, your planes will be blown up. Rene Deska looked extremely majestic, as if Wumian himself was here. He looked at a male god who had just appeared. This male god also looked like he was covered with seaweed. This race has seaweed growing in the places where every mammal has hair. He has a human body and a snake tail, and his eyes are pure white with a little black pupil. He looks quite ugly, at least not in line with Nassim's aesthetics. And just now, this god actually wanted Rene Deska to reveal his true vision form. Just like before, in Nassing, when Emperor Wumian and Eternal Twilight fought, it was called the vision form. If that form is revealed, Rene Deska can be sure that this small intermediate plane will definitely cause the collapse of the underlying rules of the crystal wall system in an instant, and will lead to the annihilation of fundamental laws, rules, and laws. In other words, explosion is better than annihilation. After all, the explosion of the plane can make a sound, while direct annihilation means nothing is left. Rene Deska's is a weird one. It is estimated that the existence of the entire plane will be wiped out. Powerful God, we are willing to pay the price for our stupidity and ignorance. The god of gods, the Lord, named Mother of Naga, was crawling on the ground at this time, and her body was shaking slightly. Only when the level of power is higher can you feel how powerful this visitor from another world is. Too powerful. This kind of irresistible power was only experienced when Mother of Naga was young, and that was tens of thousands of years ago. Irresistible. It is even possible that what this strong man said is true. If this existence reveals its true form, it may burst their plane in an instant. How terrifying it is. Therefore, Mother of Naga, who has always been known for her holiness, power, and uniqueness, was the fastest to kneel. Price? You have nothing to pay. At least in my opinion, your payment is not as good as me scooping 2 bowls of water from below. Lin Ke chuckled, showing his powerful and arrogant personality. Okay, no need to talk about this anymore. You just need to ensure the safety of these little guys. Lin Ke waved his hand and showed a picture. In the picture, Rashad and his companions were using magic and skills to transform a cave somewhere, while Shabby, a lizard man, was looking for food in the sea. These weak people and the powerful god in front of them, no, powerful existence, seem to be of the same race. The Naga mother guessed in her heart, maybe they want to experience it, just like they experience the newborns, and they will leave after the experience. But no matter what, the Naga mother understood the intention of this powerful person. So he prostrated on the ground and agreed, honorable strong man, we will definitely protect their safety. Well, that's good. Come on. Tell these gods what I said to you and your servant gods before, then think about the plot yourself and make a few similar movies for me to watch. Lin Ke only lasted a few minutes before his character setting couldn't hold back. Who can refuse to slack off at work? Although he was called by Lin Ke as a coolie, he could let these gods do the coolies, and then he would watch movies here. What? No movies? Lin Ke believed that, as long as these gods had a little brain, they could make all kinds of movies. In particular, there is also a god of mirage here, who can condense all kinds of illusions. Isn't this pure enough to make movies directly? Here, this is a sample. Lin Ke threw a space ring to the Mother of Naga, which contained the image, or he had just put in, as well as various image stones that stored videos. Do it well, learn well. Lin Ke slumped down lazily again, as if all the bones in his body had been pulled out at once. Bring me at least 3 films every day, feature films, special effects films, etc. But you must do it well. After saying that, Lin Ke immediately fell into a sleepy state that seemed like a dream. The gods below saw that the majestic and proud existence just now turned into a puddle of mud in just a moment. Even with the divine power controlling their expressions, they couldn't help but be stunned. This? How come this doesn't look like a god at all? No. This is not a god. There is no divine power at all. Logically speaking, this should be a mortal. However, the gods also know that this is not a strong man in their world after all, so maybe there is some way to hide the divine power. As for not being divine power, just kidding. How could it not be divine power? In the eyes of the gods, divine power is something that intelligent life should master after learning and developing naturally. It is the continuation of magic power and a higher level of power. Through the existence of faith, the transition from magic power to divine power is as natural as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Of course, they don't know that even a green caterpillar can evolve into a giant green dragon flying in the sky. So, the cognition is different. Intelligent life cannot imagine things beyond its own cognitive scope, and this is the case for the Naga gods at this time. They don't know the existence of professionals, so naturally they won't guess in that direction. Lin Ke didn't bother to care about how these little gods guessed, but lay leisurely, with only a ray of attention on Soraka. If there is any change on Soraka's side, he can also arrive at that place in an instant to protect Soraka. As for Soraka and the others, they are now in the midst of construction. Fire skills can't work here at all. Gabrielle fell to the ground with a pale face, and next to her was a large floor tile that had just been fired. Indeed, this is a water element. I can hardly sense fire element. Not far away, Soraka walked out of the jungle carrying 2 large trees that she had just cut down with her knife, and said easily, but you can burn such a large area of floor, which is also very good. In the wild, you must also pay attention to snakes, insects, rats and ants to avoid invasion by unknown germs and toxins. The floor is the easiest choice. Gabriel stroked his hair, took a breath, stood up and said, Start. Don't be underestimated by the hot sand. As he said, Gabriel and Soraka looked at the cave not far away. I saw the hot sand suspended in the air, and then absorbed the heat from the surrounding stars in his hands, and then released it to form a heat beam, cutting the shape of the cave, especially the dangerous gravel at the top. TSK, is the hot sand really not your brother's disciple? Silas, who was not far away, was amazed. Chapter 638 Resource-based plane. Rasha is Lin Ke's disciple. Hearing this, Gabriel smiled and said, light bulb. No, Silas. Gabriel wanted to call Silas a light bulb, but he suddenly realized it halfway through and quickly changed his words, and then continued. Silas, think about what kind of students Mr. Lin Ke has. I think Rasha is still a long way to go. Lin Ke's students? Renaudescats. Silas nodded involuntarily. Indeed, Rasha is still a long way to go. The reason for their discussion was that the skills Rasha used at this time were exactly the skills that Lin Ke had demonstrated in the public class before. 0 degree and overheating. These are the skills that Lin Ke explained in class with very broad practicality, and they are also the signature skills developed by Lin Ke himself. Duke Lin Ke is amazingly talented. From his first skill to the last skill so far, they were not inherited from others, but created by himself. Some powerful students also gained some insights after listening to Lin Ke's thermodynamics in the public class, and Rasha directly learned these two skills. 0 degree is used to absorb heat, and overheating is used to release heat, which is exactly a cycle. Whether it is ice and snow or volcanic eruption, it can be used in any environment, and its practicality is self-evident. Therefore, many students actually want to learn these two skills. Even if they are not engraved in the skill position, they must be able to use them after learning. Unfortunately, Lin Ke only talked about knowledge and principles, and did not talk about the specific formation, use and engraving of skills. Otherwise, Gabriel and others would probably remember this skill well. Oh, it would be better if I wrote it down. Now I can only use magic to burn the ground here. Gabriel sighed. The requirements and power of magic and skills are incomparable. What's more, there are very few fire element here, but the heat is very abundant. Therefore, at this time, the hot sand is working normally, but Gabriel is getting half the result with twice the effort here. However, no matter how half the result is, it still needs to be burned. Gabriel aimed at the sand and stones on the ground, clenched her right fist in front of her mouth, and blew hard at the ground. A flame mixed with blue fireworks roared out of her mouth and sprayed on the ground within a radius of about 10 meters. The flames swept through, killing the insects, bacteria, etc., and then mixed the soil, stones, and sand together to form a hard block, which is the floor tile. Hey, another one is done. After a while, Gabrielle finished spitting out flames and turned to look at Silas. While she was burning, Silas hid far away, holding some grass leaves and vines in his hands. He was weaving a fish basket. Although Silas is also a scholar, it is useless. In other words, many scholars who have just graduated from college do not have many skills because they don't know what kind of career they want to pursue in the future and what is suitable. Silas really wants to be a mathematician in the future, but he is in the process of changing his job recently and has not yet changed. At this time, he was sent to make more things that can catch food. There are no mammals and birds on this island, only some plants and insects. If you want to eat, you can only rely on the ocean. Fortunately, they are all professionals. No matter how high or low their profession is, they can use energy to replace part of their food intake. And one of the differences between professionals and magicians is that professionals have no requirements for the energy they absorb, instead of fire magicians who can only absorb fire element. Therefore, it was impossible for them to starve to death, but eating something would also give them more energy. Not long after, Rasha had finished cutting the cave into a huge stone chamber, and then put the wood brought by Soraka and the large stone bricks prepared by Gabriel into the stone chamber to make grids. Their simple base was ready. Next, it was time to explore the plain. Zioguwaran explored the entire island, while Shabby went to explore the sea. Zioguwaran didn't gain much. Even with her eyes as a killer, she didn't find any traces of intelligent creatures on the island. Shabby was even more so. Their island was all endless seawater, and nothing could be seen. He dived down, but brought back nothing, except some fish and shrimp. In other words, their island seemed to be a real isolated island. At night, 2 blue moons hung high in the sky. This proved that they were indeed very far away from nothing, so far that their sun could not cast a shadow here. The few people sat in front of the fire, and had time to get to know each other. After getting to know each other, they were all sad, because they didn't know what was the point of coming to this secondary plane to train. The endless ocean, the isolated island with almost nothing, and the bottom of the sea, that could not be seen. Or, I will explore the place, where I am tomorrow. Shabby said, I feel that there should be intelligent life here, not like now. And it is not certain whether this plane is all ocean. Maybe the place we teleported to happens to be in the ocean of this plane. Rashad also expressed his guess. Just like NASAing, maybe a person was teleported to the ocean of stars and waves in the past, but this does not mean that the entire plane is an ocean. Let's do this. Tomorrow I will explore with Mr. Shabby. I will fly out, and you will get familiar with water first. Tsunamis, storms, etc. are all fatal factors in the ocean. As the only level 15 professional who can fly, Risha has the power to protect himself, and can also undertake the work of exploration. According to the conversion, ordinary gods in this medium-sized secondary plane cannot beat him. Going out to explore and protect himself is more than enough. After making the decision, the group quickly began to meditate and wait for dawn. The next day, Risha set out after dawn, and the rest of the group went into the water to explore the situation. The seabed was deep. Zyogawaren was afraid of water by nature, but he still followed them in. It was easy for Soraka and the others. They just had to go into the water directly, and they didn't even have to take off their clothes. They had skills and magic that could dry their clothes. Soraka, I'm thinking. At this time, Gabriel was swimming with Soraka, with a large bubble of air condensing at his mouth and nose. What's wrong? Soraka answered while observing. Do you think this is a completely resource plane? Gabriel's eyes were bright. Resource-based planes. For example, some planes are made entirely of diamonds, or are made entirely of gold, which are resource planes. You mean, biological resources? Soraka also remembered what she had learned in plane travel studies, and thought, it seems that it is indeed possible. There is no intelligent life at all, only ordinary life. Just as the two were thinking, Silas, who was not far away, suddenly waved to them. Look here. I've had a cold these past 2 days, and it's really uncomfortable. From today on, I won't stay up late. Everyone, please take care of yourself. Chapter 639, Naga Child in the Shell. Silas's black hair rippled with the water. In front of him was a large shell-like creature. The most important thing was that there was a hazy color on the shell, and there was actually a magical fluctuation coming out. It appeared. Biological resources. Soraka and Gabriel, who came over, looked at each other, and found excitement in each other's eyes. It has no intelligence, but has levels, and there is also a special fluctuation. Maybe it is really some special biological resource. If it is a biological resource, then they, as discoverers, may be the first to eat the crab. The two swam over quickly, and came to Silas. The shell in front of them was probably at the level of a first-level professional, and was slowly absorbing energy from the surrounding environment. But this was an unconscious reaction, just like normal human breathing. It was not meditation, and it was deliberately absorbing that kind of energy. This shell was a magic beast. The presence of magic beasts proved that this would not be a pure animal world. Many times, the wisdom of some powerful magic beasts is not inferior to that of other intelligent life. If some monsters become gods or legends, and then gather their own kind to form a tribe, and pass on the inheritance of language and culture, they will eventually become a tribe of intelligent life. It is unknown whether this medium-sized secondary plane has a long history, but since there are monsters, there is a high probability that there are intelligent life. Is this a shell? Soraka was curious. A shell of monsters? Let's see if we can communicate. As she said that, Soraka approached the shell. She is at the highest level here, and can better avoid danger, if there is any. Soraka held a leaf given by Lin Ke in her hand, and swam forward slowly. The huge shell closed its mouth at this time, as if it sensed that they were not easy to mess with. They were close to the shell mouth, and even seemed to want to escape. Thinking of her previous experience in the lava swamp, Soraka immediately softened her breath and approached with kindness. In a gathering place for monsters, it is not advisable to fight blindly. Appropriate kindness can go further in the jungle. When Soraka was a child, Lin Ke took her to the forest to try these things, so Soraka's gentle breath did make Shell less nervous. Soraka held the life-saving leaves given by Lin Ke in her left hand, and slowly stretched forward with her right hand, and then gently stroked the rough shell of Shell. Feeling this gentle touch, Shell finally relaxed completely. Although the shell is rough, it has many senses on it, and this shell creature is a monster, so it can feel even more. What surprised Soraka was that when she was about to take her hand back, a thought came out of the shell. What are you? You, what? This strange question made Soraka raise her eyebrows. She turned around and made a look at Silas and the others, and then conveyed her meaning in her mind. We are humans. What I want to say is, no matter what we are, maybe we can be friends? A conscious existence, but only a first level monster? Soraka thought that maybe this was not a monster, but an intelligent life. An intelligent life on this plane. Friend? The weak, young-looking intelligent life in the shell seemed to be stunned for a moment, and then slowly opened the shell. After opening this long large-mouthed shell, it was not soft meat like the shell of Nassing, but a humanoid creature. The skin of this humanoid creature was milky white, and there were things like seaweed extending from the pores, extending to the inner wall of the shell, just like flesh and blood vessels. Although the shape was weird, it did not feel disgusting or evil, but rather cute. If it was a person, it would definitely be very weird if it was covered with algae or red hair or something else. But just like people with dog hair are not cute, dogs with dog hair are cute. This intelligent life in front of me has a very natural feeling. If I had to say it, it was like the goddess of nature that Nassing once was, a combination of trees and people, but it only made people feel a natural cuteness. What are you? The seaweed man in the shell in front of me asked the same question again. It seemed that in his eyes, Soraka and the others looked very strange. However, his voice sounded like garbled text to Soraka and the others. So Gabriel immediately released the magic language mastery, so that they could understand the general meaning. We are from a faraway place. Soraka smiled and said, are there no people like us here? No. The shell and seaweed child in front of him shook his head slightly. There are only people like us here. Then where are your adults? Soraka asked curiously, why are there no adults like you nearby? And all of you live in shells. What do you eat? There are not many shells here. In addition, do you have a country? Do you have any power? Do you have any gods? Soraka got excited and chattered a lot of words, which stunned the shell and seaweed child. Soraka, let's talk about it when we go upstairs. Silas was a little short of oxygen at this time, so he hurriedly shouted to Soraka. Soraka smiled at the seaweed child in front of her and said, let's go up and talk. You should be able to get some fresh air, right? No. Who knew that the seaweed child in front of her directly refused and said, we can't go above the water before we reach adulthood. Can't go above the water before we reach adulthood. Soraka nodded slightly, then nodded to Silas and the others, indicating that they should go up to get some fresh air first. She then looked at the seaweed child and continued to ask for information. Are you seaweed people so independent? Where are your parents? The seaweed child glanced at Silas and Gabriel who were floating up, then looked at Soraka and said, our Naga parents left after giving birth to us. We will live under the protection of the Naga mother. I'm not a seaweed person, I'm a Naga. The Naga child in front of her raised his hand slightly, and the seaweed-like blood vessels on his arm actually fell off and floated with the seawater. The Naga child had an innocent look on his face and told Soraka everything. We need to find a dead thing as a shelter and survive. So you found this shell. Soraka suddenly realized. She didn't think about whether she was being deceived, because the young Naga in front of her was really young, and the information was not important, and the energy level of the first level in front of them would hardly have a fatal impact on them. Chapter 640 The Establishment of the Hierarchy of Doctrines. This innocent Naga child should not have come into contact with other intelligent life forms, and all the information comes from the inheritance in his body. Soraka also learned a lot from him. In short, according to the inheritance of this Naga child, the Naga clan is the only intelligent race in this plane, and the gods are also high above the sky. The most important thing is that the Naga clan does not seem to have too many aggressive genes. Instead, they are full of kindness and peace by nature, so they rarely fight with each other. Moreover, the Naga reproduction method is quite peculiar. The Naga mother will spread her seeds in the ocean, and the Naga male will do the same, leaving the essence in the sea. Then if the essence and seeds on both sides meet each other, they will combine to form an embryo. The embryo will inherit the mother's physique and the father's inheritance. If they do not meet each other, the essence and seeds will continue to float in the sea, and eventually melt into the water after a certain period of time. It can be said that the entire ocean is a huge embryo incubator, or in other words, the entire ocean plane is. Ugh. After listening to Soraka's explanation, Gabriel was about to vomit. This ocean is so disgusting. What's disgusting about it? Soraka glanced at her. The ocean is originally a pot of soup, with all kinds of corpses, feces and urine in it. Okay, shut up. Gabriel covered her mouth. Shabby, who had been silent beside him, asked, are they peaceful by nature? So are there any large forces? As far as he knows, they have their own beliefs, which are inherited from their father or mother, and the boy named Wave below believes in the god of mirage. Soraka said. God of mirage? Risha raised his eyebrows. The mirage that can create illusions? Zioguaran also said, in the great wilderness, the price of mirage powder is very expensive, probably because the production is not high. Mirage powder. This is one of the materials in cosmetics, but only very expensive cosmetics will use it, and most others will not use it. One of the reasons is, as Zioguaran said, the production problem. If you put it that way. Silas eyes lit up. Wouldn't we be able to make a lot of money? The god of mirage here can become a god. At least he has hundreds of millions of believers. As a child from a poor family, Silas naturally cares about money the most. This semester, Silas went to the mathematics laboratory to work and study, but the salary was very low, and he could only barely subsidize his life. That's true. Shabby also said, but we'd better explore it first. The others nodded. The people in front of the fire began to chat freely and get to know their teammates. While his sister was exploring outside, Lin Ke was also busy with his own things. The previous 100 Schools of Thought conference was delayed again and again. If it was not held, René Desca would probably scold him to death. No, not just René Desca, but the entire academic circle. You have to know that this 100 Schools of Thought conference has gathered many talents in the great wilderness. In order to retain these talents, some of them have been retained over the past year due to the superiority and advancement of the great wilderness. But if you want to retain them for a longer time, you need the 100 Schools of Thought conference. If some powerful people succeed in shining at the 100 Schools of Thought conference, then naturally some people will come to invest in them. It is possible to invest in individuals, laboratories, or companies. You should know that Lin Ke's 100 Schools of Thought conference is not only about humanities, but also natural sciences. The 100 Schools of Thought includes 3 aspects. The first is debate, which simply means to debate with each other and argue about right and wrong. The second is voice, which means to make your own voice on this platform and promote your own theories. The third is debate, because this competition is to rank. What Lin Ke is going to discuss with everyone now is naturally the ranking issue. To rank various theories, it is naturally not easy to rank them according to quantitative standards. What is the first level, second level, third level, what is advanced, intermediate, and low level? They are all too one-sided. For example, one studies animals and the other studies mathematics. They are in different fields. How can they be ranked one above and one below? Therefore, to rank theories, the first thing is to determine the ranking method and standard. What standard should be used for ranking? Is it determined by the number of votes in each debate? Or by the judges' scores for speeches and demonstrations? Or by the comprehensive scores? Of course the judges will score. Most of the audience has no judgment at all. They will only choose those who are handsome, beautiful, or have nice voices. On the conference table on the top floor of the Great Wilderness Tower, Bald Jack screamed and slapped the table hard. Humph, the voice of the people is the most important. What the people like should be promoted. Watson snorted coldly and confronted Bald Jack. What if the will of those workers is coerced? Not everyone will pay attention to major events at all times. Most of them will only pay attention to their own small piece of land in their entire lives. Bald Jack sneered. Perhaps we should use a compromise approach, Ms. Montenegro said. From a comprehensive perspective, we should judge whether it is practical, whether it has application value and actual value. But you have to know that actual value and application value are too one-sided. Some things may take decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years to explode their true value. Laplace frowned. Many of our current mathematical research has no practical value, but if there were no previous mathematical research, the manufacture of nuclear bombs would never be so easy. The research on nuclear bombs did use some mathematical models, or it can be said that the theoretical mathematical development of NASA is indeed slightly higher than the actual development. But that is tens of thousands of years later. Can't we develop it when we need it? Why do we have to plan so long in advance? Granny Zissé curled her lips in disdain. In my opinion, the treatment of the heads of various theories should be improved a little, and it would be better to have a system and pay more bonuses in performance. As soon as this was said, all the followers immediately focused their attention. Granny Zissé was so bold to blatantly use public power for personal gain in such a matter that only concerned public affairs. All the followers looked at Granny Zissé, then at AOF's incarnation, and finally at Lin Ke. Although AOF's real body went to the secondary plane to protect little Naomi Soraka, his incarnation stayed here, so he could attend the meeting. Rules are rules. Even if you are Lord AOF's friend, you can't do this. Before Lin Ke could say anything, Diana fought back. She was holding a book tightly in her arms. It was not a code of law, but the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Ahem. Zissé's remarks have nothing to do with me, nor with Lin Ke. AOF coughed and said, besides, I think that appropriately improving the treatment of scientific researchers can effectively prevent them from cheating in other places, such as scientific research funding. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 641 Research and Funding. Indeed. After the incarnation of Aofu spoke, the goddess of finance Kanako also spoke. But Lord Aofu, have you ever thought that for us in the Great Wilderness, even a small increase in the salary of scientific researchers will cause huge changes? With so much fiscal expenditure, if it is still some investment that is oriented to the future rather than beneficial to the present, I think many taxpayers will not agree. You know, most people only care about how much salary this month is and will not care about how the climate will change in 10 years. The goddess of finance continued, so, if all theories are to be compiled, and the salaries of scientific researchers are to be increased at the same time, I think this requires a vote in the Great Wilderness Parliament. The vote of the Great Wilderness Parliament. This vote was ultimately drawn by random people from various fields and industries. Although it is not absolutely objective, it also objectively represents the ideas of various industries. At least, the masses also have their own decision-making power. For example, if a person of a class, industry, level, education, or age group cannot buy a house, then it is highly likely that people in this group cannot buy one. Randomly letting someone from this group come out as a representative can only be said to be relatively objective, and it can also avoid the situation where the upper level cannot see the lower level in a certain sense. Of course, these are only relative, not absolute. However, we are considering the rating issue now, and it is too far to talk about these things. Sophie also spoke up. I support Laplace's view that people should always look to the future. As a queen of singing, Sophie often enjoys the future life, whether in drama or singing. She prefers to be down to earth while looking up at the stars. I support Jack on the contrary. Rami, who was not far away, shook his head. As a bard, although he liked romance, he was more inclined to pragmatism. Things about the future will naturally be solved by others in the future. We can't solve all the problems in the future and let the later generations just go and eat, drink and have fun, right? Every generation needs to rely on their own hands to get what they want, rather than relying on their ancestors. Nix frowned and said, but there are always people whose interests or obsessions cannot be understood by some people in contemporary times. For example, some people particularly like a certain field of mathematics. If they put their energy into this field, they will surely shine with amazing brilliance in the future. And such people may be rare in 1,000 years. If we stifle his talents and interests and let him go to the city hall to do a compilation job that he doesn't like, I think the sunk cost will be a huge loss for us. Nix has been working on the reform of the medical system recently, mainly the medical insurance issue that Lin Ke mentioned, so he has a certain knowledge of economics and accounting. That's true, but how do you know if this person is a genius or a lunatic? Lalita didn't give Nix any face at all. She put her arm around Nix's shoulders and said, haven't you met a lunatic? Someone still wants to study the Sleepless Emperor, so cool. Otherwise, just study the human making activities of the Sleepless Emperor and the 5-colored Dragon Mother. By the way, if the 5-colored Dragon Mother turns into her original form, how did the Sleepless Emperor? Cough cough cough. Lin Ke coughed twice and looked at Lalita fiercely. Pay attention. Pay attention. TSK. Boring. Lalita curled her lips and didn't continue. I support Lord Orth. Juliu pondered. There are always studies that we can't take into account, but maybe they are meaningful. As the founder of the mathematics school of the Giller Institute, she remembered the previous experience the most. She also knew that for many researchers, some slight support might give some research new life. I support practicality on this point. Architect Velen said, if practicality is not met, we will fall into a huge crisis that only looks to the future and not the present. I support Jack. I support Watson. What Orth said makes sense. What Black Mountain said is right. The followers found out one by one, and they argued with each other until they were red in the face. Whether it was a legend like Lee Guan Mobi or a level 13 professional like Bold Jack, they all put forward their opinions based on their own thoughts and understanding. Lin Ke was waiting for everyone to discuss on the throne. He actually had a draft in his mind, but he also wanted to listen to everyone's opinions and absorb suggestions. In the end, the followers were divided into several factions, and the issue of doctrine classification had not been discussed yet. Lin Ke was almost done, so he knocked on the lava scepter. Everyone immediately focused their attention. I have heard the general content. Lin Ke said slowly, there are so many opinions just from us. It seems that there will be more opinions after the rules are announced. The followers nodded. They are actually a microcosm, representing the thinking and ideas of all classes, industries, and age groups. And it is not a comprehensive representation, but it is still a heated argument. If it is really released, the outside world will be in an uproar. So, let's make it like this. This is my idea, everyone take a look. Lin Ke paused the lava scepter, and the lava dragon Sol Magnus immediately emerged from the ground, and then distributed papers to everyone on the table. There were many things written densely on the paper, like a pyramid, with many things listed vertically. The first row is the general disciplines. At present, I have divided them into natural sciences and humanities. The second row is the first level disciplines, which are the disciplines that can summarize all aspects, such as physics and natural sciences and history and humanities. Following the model of universities, we will classify various theories, whether they belong to the study of governing the world, the study of research, or some other discipline. We will classify them according to the type of theories. No matter what theory it is, as long as it is reasonable, the evidence is solid, the logic is smooth, and the implementation difficulty is not particularly high, you can apply for funding. The specific process is the same as that of universities. After a pause, Lin Ke seemed to be thinking, as if struggling, and the followers all knew what Lin Ke was struggling with. Salary. Universities do not need to pay salaries, because students have tuition fees, and many things can be deducted from the tuition fees for faculty and staff salaries and bonuses. But not all. The scientific research funds in universities are huge, and the amount invested each year can build dozens of Dahuang City. Of course, the results are also rich. But now, the most important issue is, if the salaries of the various schools of thought were paid, then the proportion of scientific research funds in Dahuang City would be too high. Chapter 642 Give money, but not randomly. But what if we rely purely on attracting investment? There are also many problems. For example, the ownership of scientific research, the purity of scientific research, etc. The ownership of scientific research is easy to understand. Simply put, science has no borders, but scientists have national boundaries, and scientific achievements have national boundaries. If scientific achievements have no borders, why didn't Lin Ke's great country in his previous life take off directly? He was also strangled by various means. Therefore, if we rely purely on attracting investment, it will be difficult to define who the scientific research results belong to in the end, and it is even more difficult to measure it with shares. What's more, the profit-seeking nature of businessmen determines that they will invest more funds in projects that are beneficial to them and can make money. One of the characteristics of businessmen is profit. Some scientific research projects will eventually become completely profitable projects with the intervention of businessmen, and the purpose will become outright profit. And they want to do scientific research more for the military, for the masses, etc. That is, for protection, for people's livelihood, etc. Therefore, simple investment attraction is not advisable. But if the wages and project funds are completely borne by Dahuang City, the pressure will be very great. In other words, the pressure may be doubled at the moment, but the future is definitely bright. Moreover, if the researched things can be put into the market, then they can be put into the market to return a wave of profits. Of course, the difficulty lies in the initial period. There is nothing in this period. It is in the early stage of research. The large amount of capital investment will not be rewarded in the long run. What Lin Ke has to decide now is whether to put such a great financial pressure on Dahuang City, Dahuang Plain and the entire lava territory. Everyone is looking forward to it, looking at Lin Ke who is in deep thought, waiting for Lin Ke to make a decision. Lin Ke pondered for several minutes and finally exhaled slowly. Everyone. His low voice was full of magnetism, indicating that the pressure was very high at this time. This is an important decision, which means that we will have a lot of pressure. All departments have it. This pressure is all round, because it means that we need to invest more energy and time, as well as materials, in addition to the Dahuang 5-year plan. It also means that you may need to do more things in your spare time. As soon as Lin Ke opened his mouth, everyone knew his decision. The level has been decided. In fact, in a sense, the level that Lin Ke decided is just a relationship of inclusion and inclusion, not a relationship of precedence and high and low. As for whether these theories should be paid, Lin Ke's final decision was to pay. As for the financial pressure, after all, it was just pressure, not financial bankruptcy. Kanako and the others relaxed, but quickly accepted Lin Ke's decision. All they could do was to try their best to put forward their own views, opinions and ideas, and the final decision was still made by Lin Ke. And they all knew that with Lin Ke's personality, this kind of pressure would probably be transferred to himself, not to the people. As for how to withstand such a huge pressure, science and technology are the primary productive forces. And Lin Ke is not only a leader, but also a scientist. Even more, Lin Ke has many professions, which can also create value and wealth. It's just that it will be very hard. The followers made up their minds to work hard to share some of Lin Ke's pressure. Of course, we need to put on a show for the announcement of this result. Lin Ke added, things that are given for free and too easily obtained will only make people not cherish them, so only this result that comes from untold hardships can people cherish it. As soon as this was said, everyone immediately understood. In short, wages still need to be paid. However, this salary cannot be always like this, since ancient times, or should be like this. Instead, it needs to be earned through untold hardships, so that everyone can make good use of it and master it. And there must be strict requirements for the establishment of a doctrine, and whether it can be included in the classification. We are willing to provide various conditions when paying wages, but they must meet the requirements. Of course, if some doctrines advocate laxity, freedom, and unrestrainedness, then I think they don't need funds. For example, some Taoists in the past did not like to be bound by rules and regulations, but since they did not want to be bound, they naturally could not enjoy the benefits of being bound. Otherwise, the wilderness would be full of idle people. Moreover, many useless doctrines were bound to appear in the 100 schools of thought. If many people were ambitious and came up with many useless doctrines for wages, they would have deviated from the original intention. Doctrines emphasize thoughts, will and culture, and also emphasize the matching of interests. It is definitely not advisable to force yourself to work hard for wages. Lin Ke thought for a moment and continued, so, we also need to constantly urge people from different schools of thought to write books, and conduct research and experiments, based on their own schools of thought, and submit certain results within a certain period of time. This is to prevent people from just sitting around and waiting for death because of their achievements. Even if they can just sit around and wait for death because of their previous research results, Dahuang City will not encourage it, so their wages will be cut. The income from the results can be divided into two types: buyout and profit sharing. We can buy out the income completely, or the outside world can buy it out, or we can share the income according to the research results. We can also establish a patent protection law. I will talk to you, Diana, about this in detail later. But please note that some research must meet basic requirements. For example, you cannot apply for patents for air, water, and electricity. As he spoke, John below naturally recorded these things on the photo stone. He wrote down every word and sentence that Lin Ke said so that he could execute it later. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if he forgot something. Although it is generally impossible, there are always accidents. Lin Ke knew that his followers would definitely write it down, and John would also remember it very clearly, so he continued, for the team projects, make corresponding contribution allocations. Pay attention to the assessment and monitoring mechanisms to prevent fraud. Also pay attention to the funding of each doctrine. Lin Ke mentioned a lot of things, many of which were learned from the experience of previous lives, to avoid many big pitfalls. Finally, he concluded, in short, money can be given, but it can't be given randomly. After that, Lin Ke said, next, John, you go and prepare for the Great Wilderness Council. Let everyone discuss it first, then randomly select citizens to become council members. Tell them the content of this issue, explain it in detail, and finally hold a Great Wilderness meeting for voting. Before the vote, we all need to carry out large-scale publicity to let everyone know about this matter and let people know that if the vote is finally passed, the additional asset investment may come from the welfare of citizens, infrastructure, etc. In short, let everyone know the pros and cons. Of course, you also know that the final pressure will naturally be borne by me. Lin Ke laughed dryly a few times, originally wanting to liven up the atmosphere, but none of his followers laughed, but instead looked at him with burning eyes. In his mind, Leader was glowing slightly. Chapter 643 Light and Pioneer. This matter is settled. Do you have any opinions? Lin Ke coughed twice, and his expression became unquestionable. However, things that are unquestionable are often the easiest to be questioned. Some people who like to go against the grain are particularly fond of doing this kind of thing. Yes, I have an opinion. So what? Lalita stood up and pinched her nose, and Nix beside her couldn't stop her. Lin Ke, it's better for us to share this kind of pressure together. The mature and steady Li Guanmobi also said, we legends are better than you, if we can just let a little out of our fingers. Granny Zase looked constipated, and she also stretched out a finger and said, yes, Lord Lin Ke, I can also support you with 2 coins. Lin Ke, I'm the goddess of finance. Kanako exuded a faint divine power. I have money. The words of the dark girl were well transformed into the tradition of the black and white family. When she was a child, Rika wanted to use money to marry Lin Ke. Haha, Lin Ke, I'm a legend. Don't look down on our black and white family. I can also represent a part of the Hurricane family, my little Lin Ke. Master, I will follow your will, but please forgive me for having a little bit of my own will. This is the business of all the people in Dahuang City. We have strength in numbers. The effect of capital is that it can only be withdrawn at this time. Lord Lin Ke, I have a lot of property and shares. The law does not prohibit it, so it can be done. The followers expressed their opinions one by one, and no one was for performance. All of them were sincere. Listening to the words of the followers, Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but a wave of warmth surged in his heart. These are his followers for more than 20 years. Adults in previous lives were used to the warmth and coldness of human feelings, the coldness of people when they left, and the ungrateful wolves. Most of them were driven by interests, and true loyalty was rare, which was more common in ancient times. Now, the sincere feelings of these followers really touched Lin Ke little. Of course, when you are moved, you still have to say something. Lalita, sit down first, and don't put your nose-picking hands under the table. I know about the black and white family, and I know about the sleepless emperor, but you guys should just forget it, and wait until you become queens. Mr. Forger, your most precious legendary weapon is still in my hands. You should continue to enjoy your retirement. I've told you many times not to call me so intimate, brother-in-law Ivan. Also, do the hundreds of descendants of Grand Duke Hurricane really agree that you can use their property? Well, relax, Diana. If you can do something that the law doesn't prohibit, then the world will be in chaos. What's wrong with your head? And John? Lin Ke retorted one by one, and the atmosphere suddenly relaxed. After arguing with them one by one, Lin Ke suddenly straightened his face and said, after all, I'm the leader of the great wasteland city. I'm not a king, a general, or a slave owner. I'm the leader of the people. I can accept that I have certain conveniences and privileges in my position, but my professional characteristics determine that I cannot be the one who sucks blood at the top of the pyramid. As he said this, Lin Ke stood up, and other followers, including Aofu, Li Guanmobi and other relatives and friends, sat down one after another. Whether they were legends, gods or professionals, they were all attracted by the inexplicable temperament of Lin Ke. I can bear the pressure. If you are willing, I will be very happy. However, I hope you will not let our people bear this pressure. They are not like us. They need to work hard for a living, to worry about having a full meal every day, and to work hard for a better life. Not everyone can see potential, not everyone can focus on the future, but since the times have given us this ability and vision, we naturally need to bear the pressure that others cannot bear. This is the price of being a pioneer. A smile gradually appeared on Lin Ke's face. Do you think it was easy for Teacher Andrew to create the professional system back then? Do you think it was easy for Emperor Gilari to create the Black and White Kingdom? There are so many legends and gods whose path is easy. 1 step ahead of the times is a wise man, 2 steps ahead of the times is a genius, and 3 steps ahead of the times will become a pioneer. Pioneers are path breakers, preludes to things, and guides who walk in front. In our great wilderness, everything, what is not leading the times? Creating an era. In this case, those who ride the wind and waves should bear the waves and winds ahead. As he spoke, Lin Ke slowly walked to the table, and then to the terrace outside. Lin Ke gently placed his hands on the lava scepter, stood up straight, and looked at the sky in the distance. It was dark at this time, and there was still a long distance to the next day. But there was a light in Lin Ke's eyes, as if the night had changed in the reflection of his eyes. 100 schools of thought contend. 100 schools of thought contend. Will some theories that shock the ancient and modern times be born among them? Will some systems and cultures that can support a civilization for 5,000 years be born? Will they build the core bones and soul of a nation? Lin Ke whispered slowly, and the followers and relatives behind him involuntarily stood up and walked over, listening to Lin Ke's words, and looking at the dark night in the distance. Even the most jumpy Lalita, Granny Zase and others were speechless. Think about it, it's 100 schools of thought. Lin Ke continued to whisper, his tone was low, but it was full of excitement and expectation. Will there be a power comparable to steam and electricity? Will there be the buds of new industries? Will we enter the information age? And the various emerging professions, emerging roads, emerging cultures contained in it. Listening to Lin Ke's words, everyone seemed to see a prosperous world in their minds. Everyone imagined a different world, but they were all moved by Lin Ke's simple, emotional words. Ruin couldn't help but look at Lin Ke in shock, because at this time, as a soul master, He couldn't help but start to imagine what the prosperous world in his mind would be like. It can be imagined how strong Lin Ke's motivation and appeal were at this time. At this time, Lin Ke, who was speaking, suddenly took a deep breath and then slowly stepped out. Lin Ke raised the lava scepter in his right hand, gently pointed to the endless darkness ahead, and sighed. After you have seen the light, will you get used to the eternal darkness? I have seen it, or at least I have imagined it. I don't know if it is true or false, but I'm willing to work hard and fight for it. Whether it is the humanities or the natural sciences, I'm willing to be a pioneer and lead the people forward together. You see, it's full of darkness here. Instead of waiting endlessly for someone to raise the torch, why don't I become the light that cuts through the darkness? The 4th volume is over. This volume is more about farming, operating, and developing the Great Wasteland City, but then everyone will see that Lin Ke, who is under pressure to repay the loan, of course has to go out to make money. Well, I have a bad cold these days. I hope there is no yang, but no matter what, the update will continue. Thank you all readers for your support. Writers Bebe offers sincere blessings. Thank you very much. Chapter 644 Senator. May this body become the first beam of light. When everyone heard Lin Ke's words, they felt a tremor all over their bodies, and the trembling began to spread from the soul from the inside out. Even those who love to cry, such as Li Guanmobi and Nix, burst into tears on the spot. Marshal Azan. Li Guanmobi couldn't help but murmur, wiping his tears while murmuring. He now had an impulse to forge 10 more 8 legendary instruments immediately, and it would be tiring to death, as long as he could help this little guy from Azan's family. Others had similar ideas. Granny Zise thought that she would donate 10 coins to Lin Ke, or even 20. Nix was even thinking about having children with Lalita as soon as possible, because he was a rabbit man, and it was very likely that Lalita would give birth to 8 children at a time, and rabbit people grow fast, so there would be 8 more people who could be trusted to help Lin Ke. Anyway, everyone had all kinds of strange ideas. Only Lin Ke was still immersed in the memories of the civilization in his previous life, which was a little short compared to Nasang, but no less brilliant and brilliant. Behind them, John suppressed his inner emotion while recording this scene carefully. Perhaps this photoball needs to be copied 1 million times to show all citizens and all intelligent life in Nasang. This is the mind of their young master. However, we must see the light of the future and adapt to the darkness of the present. After a brief moment of absent-mindedness, Lin Ke shook his head, turned around, and looked at everyone. In short, let's all work together. I believe there will always be a way, and maybe the pressure is not as great as we imagined. Haha. So, Lin Ke's smile turned into a dry laugh again. In the end, everyone dispersed and Lin Ke went home. However, the next day, when the city hall began to release the news, the Great Wasteland City exploded. This is today's morning news. See you next time. In someone's home, a couple who were originally going to eat breakfast while watching TV and go to work after breakfast were stunned there. Oh, how much pressure is this? Financial pressure. Will our salary be reduced? The wife was a little worried, and she couldn't help but put down the roasted milk fruit in her hand. Don't talk nonsense. The husband, who had always been gentle, spoke a little more seriously, and then reacted and said gently, "Dear, based on my understanding of Mr. Lin Ke, this kind of pressure will most likely be borne by the people above. Even if some of it is leaked, it is estimated to be insignificant. It's just that Mr. Lin Ke really makes me. The husband was speechless, but felt shocked. My dear, this is just your guess. The wife hesitated. No one would be so stupid. The husband turned around and looked at his wife with a change of look. I have been the director of the street office from Azin village now. You know Lord Lin Ke better than me. Seeing that her husband was tough and not as gentle as before, the wife opened her mouth to scold him. The two of them were about to quarrel, but there was a knock on the door outside, accompanied by a male voice. Is Mr. Gerao here? You have been elected as a senator of the Great Wilderness Council in 3 days. If you are free, please follow me to the Great Wilderness Tower. It will last for 3 days. Senator of the Great Wilderness Council. The husband and wife looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Was he elected as a senator of this meeting? and similar conversations also happened in many places. On this day, many people were elected as senators, and no one refused. Everyone felt that this was the supreme honor. After all, the senators of the Great Wilderness Council can decide some major matters. This feeling of actually participating in the construction of the home is really wonderful. However, many people still discuss the content of the morning news. There are mainly two factions. One faction believes that giving funds to the doctrine organization is simply a waste, and it is better to build more livelihood measures, such as expanding some blocks. The other faction believes that the doctrine organization represents the future and should be paid and given certain guarantees to those who work in it. Of course, some people in these two factions are selfish, while others consider the overall situation. But in any case, these are discussions by outsiders. For the senators of this parliament, they can no longer receive information from the outside world, because this time, they need to study and train before they can attend the meeting. This is to avoid misjudgment by the elected senators, so Dahuang needs to send people to explain and teach well. At least let them know what the decision at that time means and what aspects of Dahuang City will be affected. Even some people with a certain educational background or some people with knowledge will listen carefully. After all, there is a lot of knowledge contained in it, and some of this knowledge may even allow them to glimpse the secrets of some professionals. But no matter what, while the outside world was discussing this matter, the senators were isolated and could not receive any information from the outside world. They could only rely on their previous ideas to avoid interference. At the same time, each senator received bonus subsidies during these 3 days to prevent some people and some industries from having economic crisis due to work reasons. After all, most of those who can work during the holidays are in some catering, entertainment or special departments. And the outside world, the entire Nasang, was already arguing at this time. In the Holy Life Alliance, the tribes with the photo stone TV basically disagreed with this matter. What about the future and the present? The future will naturally be considered by the future children. Now we have to consider how to make it as comfortable as possible. This is the idea of most of the simple-minded wise lives in the tribes of the Holy Life Alliance. They believe that the greatest legacy given to them by their ancestors will always be spirit and will, not material. Most of the families in the Everfrozen Council are just the opposite. In the Everfrozen Council, which is gathered by race and family, most people think very far-reachingly. That is to consider the next generation. They are often keen to invest in the next generation, and the next generation will also be keen to invest in the next generation, and the descendants will be endless. Therefore, the voices in the Everfrozen Council felt that this kind of early planning for future development was worth promoting. In the Black and White Kingdom, there was a huge quarrel. Each noble expressed his own opinion. Some parties and banquets even had nobles duel because of their different ideas. Of course, they were all minor nobles. As this discussion spread, it also attracted a large number of people to pay attention to something they had been paying attention to for a long time. That is, the 100 Schools of Thought Conference is about to be held. Chapter 645, Gathering in the Great Wilderness. So, Lin Ke has started to learn now? The Marquis of the Giant Sword sat at the table with a gloomy face, slowly drinking juice. According to the etiquette of the nobility, one can only talk while drinking juice. And his butler stood beside him. Facing the gloomy look of the Marquis of Giant Sword, the butler knew that this was a natural effect brought about by his appearance, and he had no objection to Lin Ke, so he said softly, "Yes, sir, the preparation period for the 100 Schools of Thought conference is finally over. Prepare to set off. Let Fuliquan guard the territory, and let Armor take Klahur and the others to Dahuang City." The Marquis of Giant Sword said in a deep voice. Playing in the mud there all day long, Lin Ke could have fought against legends at this time. The butler smiled, bowed and nodded, and replied with a smile, "That's right, sir, but Master Klahur is only 5 years old now, and he should be 4 years old. Perhaps he is still some distance away from Master Lin Ke. You see, he still has at least 2 years before he turns 6. 4 years old?" The Marquis of Giant Sword touched his chin. "Hasn't he been weaned? I remember that Lin Ke should have started to accept Madame Brando's teachings and training when he was 4 years old. Madame Brando's methods should also be used on Klahur to train him well." "Okay, sir, I'll tell my wife." The butler responded softly and then suggested appropriately, "But sir, I also need to remind you that there is only one person in the star world, Lord Lin Ke. This is also his original words. Perhaps it is not advisable to copy his growth." "That makes sense." The Marquis of the Giant Sword nodded slowly. "Then this time, bring Klahua's mother with you and go with me to see the world. Otherwise, he will only paint and paint in one day." "Does he want to become a painter in the future?" "Humph, a weak profession." As he said, the giant sword drank the juice in the glass in one gulp, stood up and said, "Go and gather them quickly. I want to go to the great wilderness quickly to see if my old friend is now level 15. "Okay, sir." Count Akka sold the teleportation array, and the servant took off his coat for him, which was still stained with snowflakes that had not melted yet. "Did you grab the last batch of movie recording stones in the great wilderness city?" Akka walked out in a dusty manner and asked the people in the butler group next to him as he walked. His butler was a woman, extremely large. Akali naturally put his hand on it, rubbed it for a few times, and then lay down on it. Naturally, a maid came to feed him fruit. The housekeeper held Akali in her arms and answered, "We got the master. When the people in Dahuang heard it was you, they gave us a discount." "Well." Akali nodded with satisfaction and said, "One of the things I'm most proud of in my life is that I made friends with Lin Ke." The housekeeper's face flushed, and she smiled and replied, "That's because the master is worthy of being friends with His Highness Lin Ke. There are only a few people in Nasan who can know His Highness Lin Ke." "Not bad." Akali smiled and nodded, and his hands continued to move. "By the way, master," the housekeeper suddenly exclaimed, but it was not because Akali was too strong, but because she suddenly remembered something. "What's wrong?" Akali's expression was still relaxed, not as tense as when he just stepped out of the teleportation array. "Did anything big happen in Nasan?" "Nothing happened in Nasan. It was Dahuang." The housekeeper immediately told him about the 100 Schools of Thought conference. "Is the 100 Schools of Thought conference about to begin?" Akali narrowed his eyes, but he jumped down and walked out quickly. The housekeeper quickly followed. "Go and notify a few business houses to mobilize all the funds. Let's go to the great wilderness." The same situation also happened to the noble leaders of various black and white kingdoms. Whether it was the Marquis of Tulip, the Marquis of Kingpin and other nobles, they subconsciously chose to go to the great wilderness city immediately. They are not only nobles, but also professionals. They know best how much impact some ideas can have. At the same time, they are not only professionals, but also nobles. They know what they can bring to their territories under such circumstances. For example, business opportunities, resources, infrastructure development, etc. Many territories have been imitating Lin Ke in all aspects, from laws to systems to people's livelihood and business, no matter how big or small, and some even copied it directly. This kind of grand event, or a grand event of thought, of course they must participate. The magicians who couldn't keep up with the times last time had long been eliminated and replaced by professionals. This time, if they can't keep up with the times, I don't know what will be eliminated. In short, keep up with the great wilderness, it's definitely right. While the outside world was surging, the Great Wasteland City finally welcomed the day of the Great Wasteland Conference, which everyone was looking forward to. Originally, the senators had to walk to the Great Wasteland Tower to teleport, but this time they didn't have to, because it was a secret meeting, and everyone's food, drink, and defecation for the past 3 days were solved in the Great Wasteland City. In the past few days, the discussion about this matter in the Great Wasteland City has reached its peak. Cancel the salary of the participants and the doctrine. The Great Wasteland does not need doctrines. We need a better life. Reduce financial pressure. Build more schools, hospitals, and square gardens. Focus on the present. Don't be too ambitious. Under the Great Wasteland Tower, a parade team was walking in it. They were the people in the Great Wasteland City who opposed this move. Thanks to the relaxed and free policies of the Great Wasteland City, they were able to speak freely, so their courage gradually grew. In addition, the law also clearly stipulates that, after reporting to the Great Wasteland City Street Office, it is indeed possible to march, as long as it does not affect others, and is only used for propaganda and expression of opinions. It is allowed. So there was this scene. Please support us. This proposal is not good. All the pressure will be borne by us citizens in the end. A young human woman held a big loudspeaker and shouted, Lord Lin Ke must have been bewitched by bad people. There must be many people who are just sitting there doing nothing among those scientific researchers and founders of theories. This is equivalent to using the taxes we pay to support those wastes. However, in contrast, there are also parade teams that support this policy. Scientific research is the future. Everything we have now comes from scientific research. That is, scientific research. This is the system proposed by Lord Lin Ke. The scientific system. It is precisely because of this system that we have a prosperous great wasteland city. Don't abandon the future for the sake of petty gains and losses. Don't forget that those things that make our lives better also come from scientific research, such as the Mark tree. An old man didn't use a loudspeaker, but his voice could naturally be heard by people on the roadside. The people of the two teams deliberately avoided each other and promoted onto streets, which also attracted many people to watch and listen. In this atmosphere, the discussion from the Great Wasteland Tower was also quite intense. Chapter 646 Martial Arts Society. There was a parade going on below, and a discussion was also going on in the conference room at the top of the Great Wilderness Tower. So, you all have understood the general meaning. Lin Ke stood in front of the new senators of the Great Wilderness Parliament and said loudly, so, please vote next. After that, he nodded to John next to him. John immediately understood and stood up. Then, please write down your thoughts on paper, agree or disagree. This is an anonymous act. Please speak freely. As he said, John waved his hand, and the senators below immediately began to write. Lin Ke left here. No matter what the result is, the final result will be that the salary will be paid. It's just that the person who pays is not the finance department, but him. Of course, no matter what, the Great Wilderness and Lin Ke are almost inseparable, and it doesn't matter who spends the money to outsiders. Lin Ke, who left, went to the Teikai Martial Arts Hall. Teikai Martial Arts Hall. Ha. Various intelligent beings were exercising in the martial arts hall, and the sound of loud shouts was endless. Since the news that Sparta, the owner of Taiji Martial Arts School, is an epic level expert spread, Taiji Martial Arts School has become popular all of a sudden. An epic level expert. A wild one. How can this be possible? Exclamation mark. The growth of a professional can be greatly rewarded if there is a pioneer to show the way. Just like Andrew, many times, just a few words of advice to Lin Ke can make Lin Ke gain enlightenment. Therefore, an epic level expert is not just a cabbage on the side of the road. Think about it. At the beginning, only Billy, the housekeeper in Lin Ke's family, was a professional, and he was only level 8. Baron Puksin of Parrot City was even lower in level. In the entire continent, epic level experts are not weak. You know, they are epic. That is to say, people like Lin Ke, who have basically been in contact with the masters of Star Legend since his debut, will feel that they are still weak, even if they are epic. Others don't think that epic is weak. As a result, the 5 floors of Taiji Martial Arts School were all crowded, and there was an endless stream of people coming and going outside. When Lin Ke came here, he had to hide his body to enter, otherwise he would probably attract onlookers. However, as soon as he got downstairs, Lin Ke saw a parade not far away coming towards this side. Research. Exploration. The final results are still for us to enjoy. Support the payment of wages. Improve the treatment of scientific researchers. Some people rode on mounts, some walked on the road, and marched towards this side in a mighty manner. Pedestrians on the road were curiously watching, and some people joined the parade directly after understanding. It can be seen that these people have a clear will, fighting for the salary of scientific researchers after the theory is established. Looking at this scene, Lin Ke nodded with satisfaction, and then went upstairs. The harder it is to get something, the more you will cherish it after you get it. It is difficult for people to cherish things that are easily obtained, whether it is love, family affection or anything else. Those who can't get it are always in turmoil, and those who are favored are fearless. Therefore, after working hard, these scientific researchers can truly cherish this salary. No pain, no gain. After Lin Ke went upstairs, he went directly to the top floor. The lower floors are where normal disciples train and fight. Several intermediate gladiators walk around these floors, supervising and teaching the disciples. The top floor is where the disciples with real potential practice. Cat Nanny Athena is usually there too. Lin Ke went directly to the top floor. There were people fighting in the battlefield here. They were the first batch of apprentices from the Tekai martial arts hall, the Rhino Man and the Leopard Man. One of them was fast, and the other was strong. They were fighting fiercely at this time. Rhino Man Mizuna and Leopard Man Liana. Rhino Man Mizuna stood steadily at the edge of the field, with his back against the wall. I don't know if the horns on his head were waxed, but they were shining brightly. Not far in front of him, Liana had turned into a residual image, and would come up and give him a claw from time to time. His two sturdy palms were simply overwhelmed. Mizuna, hurry up. You only need to hit him once. Focus. On the sidelines, everyone was giving Mizuna advice, because Mizuna was the weaker party, and the situation of Leopard Man Liana was the most annoying. Lin Ke watched from behind them, and found that both Rhino Man Mizuna and Leopard Man Liana had mastered some of the requirements for Tekai's power control to a certain extent. Leopard Man Liana would try to bring inch force with every attack, but this inch force was not strong at present. Rhino Man Mizuna's mastery of using the opponent's force to defeat the opponent, and using 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds was slightly inferior, but it was not weak. The most important thing was that Mizuna didn't need to use the opponent's force to defeat the opponent's force, nor did he need to use 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. He could defeat Liana with just a flat attack. The key was that he couldn't hit her. Maybe he should teach them the golden bell cover and iron cloth shirt. Lin Ke thought of some martial arts in his previous life. It was a pity that it was in martial arts novels, and he didn't have any true ki or internal force. But he did know that if the density of the muscle is greater, the hardness will be greater. Maybe I can teach these students later. Of course, the most important thing is to control your own muscles. Muscle force also consumes energy, that is, physical energy. But when a person can control the most subtle muscles, he can reduce the consumption of physical energy in many ways. The same is true in attack and defense. When an attack comes, you can instantly harden a few muscles to resist that kind of attack and impact. The most suitable method for a race like the Rhino people with high defense and high strength is just this method, rather than the method of fighting fast with fast. But those are all later. Lin Ke was not interested in watching the two students fight, but came to the office and asked the cat nurse Athena to come over. Lord Sparta, you are back. Athena twisted her charming figure, opened the door of the office, and walked in. She tried to keep her voice low so that people outside could not hear, and then sat in front of Lin Ke's desk, with her two slender thighs directly on Lin Ke's desk. Lin Ke ignored the two white thighs and said straight to the point, yes, but I have something to do soon. I came here this time to say that when the 100 schools of thought contest, you should sign up to set up a martial arts society and establish a fighting faction based on martial arts. The purpose is to strengthen the body with martial arts and learn the art of fighting. The core is all kinds of martial arts that even ordinary people can learn. Establish a society. This is the purpose of Lin Ke's coming here. If ordinary people can also have a certain combat power, not to mention fighting outside, it is also good to strengthen the body and deter the criminals entering the country. Later, perhaps Lin Ke will also establish a theory to promote martial arts. Chapter 647 Invitation from the Holy Life Alliance. Establish a society. Establish a doctrine. Athena, who was originally extremely relaxed, was stunned for a moment, and it took her a while to react. She pointed to the window and said, is that what they are discussing outside? Athena's voice was full of doubts. Can people like us also establish it? No, we can indeed establish it. Athena was used to being at the bottom, otherwise she would not go to the arena to participate in gladiatorial fights to earn more money. Originally, she just read the news about the establishment of a doctrine outside as news, just like hearing that an asteroid was about to hit the earth in her previous life. Listen for fun, that's all. It's too far away from her. But now she suddenly reacted. Her boss is an epic level strongman. Not only an epic level strongman, but also a strongman who founded martial arts and opened the first martial arts gym, Tekai martial arts gym. For such a person, it is natural to establish a doctrine, right? What can I do? Do we need to prepare any materials? Do the students need to be informed? Athena suddenly became nervous, sitting on the table and thinking, while thinking and talking to herself. Seeing her like this, Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's difficult to apply for a theory, but you don't have to think about these things. Athena was reminded by Lin Ke, and she immediately remembered. Why do you have to think about these things so much? What you should consider is whether it can be successfully recognized as a theory. What should I do? Athena looked serious. Lin Ke glanced at Athena's white thighs on the table. Get down from the table first. Athena didn't feel embarrassed at all. She got down without blushing, and then sat on Lin Ke's lap naturally. Lin Ke pushed her down directly. What are you doing? Sit down. Lin Ke said unhappily. Listen to me. Our theory is to advocate life lies in movement. The most important condition for the establishment of a theory is that it must be logically rigorous and feasible. In other words, exercise and sports are indeed good for the body, but there may be problems in the art of fighting. Lin Ke and Athena explained in detail, and Athena stopped joking and listened carefully. There are many benefits of martial arts, too many to list. However, there are many disadvantages. For example, if the art of fighting falls into the hands of bad people, good people will suffer. But this is like the question of whether to invent weapons. If there are no nuclear bombs in the world, there will be machine guns. If there are no machine guns, there will be cavalry. If there are no cavalry, there will be swords. If there are no swords, there will be fists and feet. In short, martial arts are not good or bad in themselves, but how to use them. Therefore, the establishment of martial arts society is also necessary. At least even if ordinary people cannot become professionals, there is a way to grow. After saying this, Lin Ke also talked about the problems of students like rhinoceros people, talked about the benefits of muscle control, and then left. After leaving, Lin Ke went in the direction of the Legend Hotel. Along the way, he looked solemn and called Ruan to join him. You mean, the Sun God and the Rat Lord want to make peace with you? Ruan teleported over, his eyes full of surprise. Are they crazy? No, they are very rational. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. They didn't say it earlier or later, but after I broke through, the Rat Lord is very powerful. From the words of Wumian, Andrew and others, Lin Ke could hear that they valued the Rat Lord more than the Sun God. A very magical phenomenon is that in the Holy Life Alliance, any intelligent life that has not reached level 20 or above does not like the Rat Lord very much. Because the tradition of the Holy Life Alliance is that whoever becomes the Lord must challenge the Sun God. You must know that the Holy Life Alliance was established by the 5 holy lives in the mythological era and other intelligent lives. After the Sun God did those things, many tribes hated the Sun God. Therefore, challenging the Sun God became the tradition of the Lord of the Holy Life Alliance. Unfortunately, the Rat Lord did not challenge, and even mixed with the Sun God. However, unlike those below level 20 in the Holy Life Alliance, those above level 20, whether inside or outside the Holy Life Alliance, all value the Rat Lord. This includes Lin Ke. The wisdom of the Rat Lord should not be underestimated. Especially today's gesture of goodwill, Lin Ke felt that this Rat Lord was not simple. If Lin Ke had not made a breakthrough, perhaps the Holy Life Alliance would have taken a more excessive attitude against the Great Wasteland City. But now that Lin Ke has made a breakthrough, they have changed their strategy instead. Being able to bend and stretch is a hero. But should we form an alliance? Lin Ke was actually quite entangled in his heart. On the one hand, the Holy Life Alliance is the most vast and largest force in Nassau, and there are many resources that the Great Wasteland City needs. For example, the uranium mine last time. But on the other hand, Lin Ke remembered that from the age of 6 to now, the role played by the Holy Life Alliance in his experience was not very good. There was even a legend who played the Wild Boar Man before, and directly designed to kill Aofu when they didn't care at all. If it weren't for the moon goddess's ability to reverse life and death later, perhaps Lin Ke would have lost Aofu forever. But this also became Lin Ke's heart knot, and Lin Ke had no intention of easing up with the Holy Life Alliance. Of course, Lin Ke still had to go to the invitation of the Rat Lord this time. Although he thought he was not so great, and even a selfish person, But if the price offered by the Rat Lord and his people can really make the Great Wasteland City develop rapidly and make the people of the territory grow and develop better, then Lin Ke would not compete for his own selfishness. Let's go, brother-in-law. Lin Ke took a deep breath and then stepped into the Legend Hotel, followed by Ruin. With Ruin's level, not to mention defeating the Rat Lord and the Sun God, but protecting himself and Lin Ke's soul is no problem. Of course, I don't think they dare to mess with Lin Ke in the Great Wasteland City. Lin Ke is just prepared. It is also to prevent the Rat Lord and the Sun God from doing anything. The two entered the Legend Hotel. Lin Ke took out his ID card for the front desk to check, and then went upstairs under the shocked and excited eyes of the front desk girl. Arriving at the door of the room of the Rat Lord and the Sun God, the door opened naturally, revealing the situation inside. The Sun God and the Rat Lord were in a magnificent temple, sitting at a table 4-4. The Sun God showed his human form, with blazing flames on his body, and he looked sacred and noble, but his face was expressionless. The Sun God had no expression on his face, but the Rat Lord was smiling. The Rat Lord, wearing a dark robe and holding a scepter made of dry pine wood, gently hammered his chest and said to Lin Ke, "Respected Lord of the Great Wilderness, good afternoon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 648, Rat Lord Negotiating Peace. Good day, His Majesty the Dora. Good day, His Majesty the Sun God. As a courtesy, Lin Ke also performed a chest beating ceremony, which was extremely standard and could not be faulted. Your Majesty the Sun God, the Dora. Ruin also casually beat his chest. His father, the Grand Duke of Hurricane, was also a legend, and a very powerful one. In addition, due to his personality, he seemed very casual. "Please come in, both of you." The Rat Lord smiled and pointed to the seat next to the four-person round table, appearing very easygoing. At the same time, he praised, "The service of the Legend Hotel is really shocking to us. Haha, Mr. Lin Ke's talent is well deserved." Lin Ke and Ruin didn't say anything, but just went straight to the table and sat down. The layout of the Legend Hotel is very simple, but many of its concepts are ahead of their time. For example, voice intelligent butler, such as indoor environment customization, etc. Therefore, just adding some ordinary things has made the level of the entire Legend Hotel rise. The Rat Lord's praise was indeed very good, and even Lin Ke was a little bit benefited. Your Majesty the Dora's wisdom is also world renowned. Lin Ke sat down and chuckled. The Holy Life Alliance is thriving under your leadership. Compared to playing a joke, Lin Ke is not inferior. In the previous life, the system required all kinds of rhetoric and how to treat people. Haha, compared to the Great Wasteland City, the Holy Life Alliance is much inferior. No, the Holy Life Alliance is so vast. No. Don't dare. Thank you for the compliment. The two of them went back and forth there. The Sun God seemed like a statue, and Ruin closed his eyes directly. His nose was still slightly twitching, and it looked like he was almost asleep. But at this time, the Rat Man Lord suddenly shifted the topic from the carbonated drinks in the Great Wasteland City to the Wild Boar Man. At the beginning, I designed my uncle Extreme Dark Seed to ambush you on the road you had to take to attend the Noble Council. It has been a long time now. The Rat Man Lord inadvertently admitted what he did at the beginning. Lin Ke remained indifferent, smiling. So that's why I said that, after investigating so many things, we didn't find out about the Wild Boar Man. Seeing Lin Ke's calm expression, the Rat Lord and the Sun God flashed with surprise. What a strong concentration. So, I brought this time. The Rat Lord smiled, and a dark shadow walked out from behind him, with the same face as him. My uncle has no grudge against Aofu, and he is following orders, so this time it has nothing to do with him. This is my clone Blacktooth, presented to Mr. Lin Ke. As he said that, before Lin Ke could react, the Rat Lord's hand covered with yellow hair gently waved at his clone. All the shadows on the clone named Blacktooth returned to the Rat Lord Dotero's slender rat nose in an instant, and then he sniffed hard. Then, Dotero smiled and pointed at the clone. The clone had become almost transparent at this time, and the rat head features on its face had also become blurred. "Your Majesty, what are you doing?" Lin Ke's expression finally changed. The Rat Lord still smiled and said, "Mr. Lin Ke, you also know that the clone is the second life of the legend, and it is the container of the split soul. My black tooth is made of many precious things such as the essence of the Godhead, the flower of extreme darkness, the abyss stone, etc. And there is also a small piece of my soul in it." As he said, Dodoro squinted his eyes slightly, and then his face suddenly changed, and his breath weakened rapidly. Soul cutting? Lin Ke didn't know what happened yet, and Ruin next to him couldn't help but exclaimed. Lin Ke looked over, so Ruin immediately explained, "The black air that was just taken back is Dodoro's magic power and the power of law, but now, he has lost contact with his clone. Now, this clone with pure soul power is ownerless." As he said, a huge human-shaped phantom shrouded in a dark hood suddenly appeared behind Ruin, and the face of the human-shaped phantom vaguely revealed was very similar to Ruin. 10 slender fingers of the phantom shot out 10 threads, which flew directly to the translucent clone and sank into it. Then Ruin closed his eyes and seemed to be exploring something. The sun god was still like a sculpture, while the Ratman Lord took out a bottle of magic potion with rich law power from the space ring and swallowed it, and then his complexion improved a little. At this time, Ruin also ended his exploration. He nodded to Lin Ke and said, "Unless his strength exceeds that of His Majesty Wumian, otherwise this clone is indeed ownerless." Ownerless clone. Clone and incarnation are the favorite things of legends and gods. Incarnation is generally condensed by gods with divine power, and when the divine power dissipates, the incarnation disappears. But the clone is the second life of the strong after level 21. As strong as Li Guan Mobi is, there are only 3 clones from ancient times to now. It is because the materials needed for the clone are too difficult to find, because after all, it is a clone that can only be made after level 21, and it is also the second life of the legend. And the clone also needs to be filled with souls. This means that when a strong person reaches level 21, he can already tear apart a small part of his soul. The soul and the true spirit are not much different, they are all together. In other words, the soul and the true spirit are put into it together. If a small part of the soul is put into the container of the clone will also change from a container to a work of art. After this change, the clone is formed. And now, this clone has lost all the breath belonging to others, and the true spirit in the soul has been sucked away by the Rat Master Duodo. In other words, the current clone is a very pure and powerful container. As long as Lin Ke reaches level 21, he will save countless efforts and countless materials, and then have a second life. Mr. Lin Ke, we were hostile to the Black and White Kingdom before, and for our own sake, we could only do our best to hold you back. The Rat Master smiled helplessly. "I remember reading what you said in the newspaper. Most things in this world only talk about stance, not right or wrong. Most things in this world only talk about stance, not right or wrong." Lin Ke's expression moved slightly and nodded. "If you think my life is not enough, you can wait for Orf to come back and ask him how to solve it." The Rat Lord shook his head helplessly and continued, "But we really have no intention of being your enemy. Your talent is indeed unprecedented. We are scared." Chapter 649, Clone. Ruin's Discovery. 20 years ago, you drove the monsters from the lava swamp to invade. The Emperor Wumian resurrected your dead. Of course, we are willing to bear all the other additional losses. The trade of Dahuang City has always been disturbed by the trade deficit of the Holy Life Alliance. We had many restrictions in the past, and in the future, there will only be smooth trade. Not long ago, I heard that the Holy Life Alliance had a green and blue scale explosion. Yes, that's true. It's our fault that the angry Lord God didn't handle that matter well. What do you think about the Holy Life Alliance and Dahuang City building more teleportation arrays and more cultural exchanges? Yes, it's a good idea. Lin Ke and Duodo asked and answered each other. If you remove their identities of one human and one Radman, people who don't know would think that this is ceding land and paying compensation. If you remove their level differences, people who don't know would think that this is a high-level professional ordering a low-level professional. Anyway, the identities of the two people seem to have completely switched, and they are discussing in an extremely unequal way. At the end of the discussion, even Lin Ke felt that he was a little too much. He felt that he was not someone who was called in to negotiate peace, but rather a bandit who was arrogant and demanding and plundering. As for the knot in his heart about Aofu, he could only wait for Aofu to come back. However, Lin Ke knew that his teacher had long stopped caring, and it was actually Lin Ke that his teacher cared about. At the beginning, Aofu and the wild boar man who killed him did not have a deep hatred. Aofu only cared about who hurt Lin Ke. In addition, Lin Ke had already put forward so many conditions, and the rat man Lord Duoduoluo basically agreed to them. It can be said that he was full of sincerity. There is no doubt. If he put forward more conditions, Lin Ke would probably fight to the death. Your Majesty Duoduoluo, that's enough. After the last condition was put forward, Lin Ke was silent for a moment, and then said the last sentence. From the beginning to now, the rat man Lord Duoduoluo has a warm smile on his face, which has never changed, as if the things he traded with Lin Ke were not vital treasures or materials, but grains of rice. Then, I hope we can have a sincere friendship. Duoduoluo stood up and pounded his chest again, still smiling. He also maintained all kinds of sincerity when talking to Lin Ke in the middle, so he finally reached this peace talk. Lin Ke also stood up, first took back the humanoid model standing next to him into the space ring, then pounded his chest and sighed. I'm amazed by the heart of His Majesty Duoduoluo. I have to say that you may have great ambitions, but please remember that everyone has only one chance to believe in each other. After that, Lin Ke also respectfully said to the Sun God, Your Majesty, I hope we can have more cooperation in the future. He nodded to Ruin and walked out. Ruin did not speak, but just smiled charmingly at the two, and then followed Lin Ke out. After the two left, the Rat Lord and the Sun God looked at each other, each with different emotions. I really want to kill him. The Sun God frowned, looking at the direction where Lin Ke left, and his voice resounded directly in the mind of the Rat Lord. In the future, he will definitely be more terrifying than Wumian. But now he has become one of our own, right? The Rat Lord smiled gently, and the beard on his pointed nose trembled slightly. Or, in the future, we are all the same. Think about it, at least Wumian will not deliberately embarrass us in the future, and may even help us. The same is true for the Great Wasteland City. You know, there are a lot of good things in the Great Wasteland City. At this point, the Sun God nodded slightly. Not to mention the latter, even the former is very attractive. You have to know that, if an existence like the Emperor Wumian who dominates the world wants to deliberately embarrass others, there are simply few people who can stop him. And if the process of the Holy Life Alliance's unification has the help of a strong man like the Emperor Wumian, then their progress will be twice the result with half the effort. At this time, if the help of the Great Wasteland City is added, today's efforts are worth it. The Sun God spoke slowly. Duoduoluo smiled. Since we have chosen to negotiate peace, as Lin Ke said, let's just be friends. The Sun God's eyes flashed. No other intentions? Duoduoluo smiled bitterly, and his two dark eyes looked at the Sun God helplessly. Boro Boy Eater, if we have other intentions, it will be really difficult for us to gain a foothold in Nassing, and even the Holy Life Alliance will fall apart because of this. After hearing this, the Sun God had to nod his head, looking quite unwilling, but he had to give up. Duoduoluo shook his head slightly, sighed and said, sure enough, what Lin Ke said makes sense. The next generation is strong, and the whole nation is strong. We have to spend more time on the Holy Life University. When the Holy Life Alliance and the Everfrizz Council established a university in the Great Wilderness City, they also established a university at the same time. But compared with the Great Wilderness University, they are not as good as the Great Wilderness University in many aspects such as momentum, reputation, and faculty. You have to know that the Great Wilderness University has Andrew behind it, and Andrew has the terrifying Fearless Tower behind him. The other two universities are simply incomparable. After coming out, a soundproof barrier naturally appeared around Lin Ke and Rui Wen. Lin Ke, you can still strengthen that avatar. Rui Wen said excitedly. Duoduoluo definitely doesn't know what he lost. He doesn't know what this avatar means. Lin Ke was originally thinking about the various contents of today and was thinking about how to talk to John and the others and how to connect with the great wilderness city. As a result, seeing Rui Wen so excited, Lin Ke was a little stunned. He rarely saw Rui Wen so excited. Rui Wen also forced himself to calm down and then held Lin Ke's shoulders with both hands, looked at Lin Ke and said, "There are several levels of avatars. You should know this?" "Yeah." Lin Ke nodded. "Ordinary, elemental, epic, lore, legendary, star realm. There are good and bad avatars. A good avatar can bring great changes, making the avatar stronger than the original body and even become a trump card. Therefore, avatars naturally have levels. It's just that most legendary clones are actually of ordinary level. A few can make elemental essence level, but that's a very small number. Epic level clones are rare. It can be said that the number of epic level clones may be less than the number of strong people above level 25. As for the lore, it's even more so. Not many clones can reach the lore level, otherwise the clones alone can have the potential to become legendary. As for the legendary level, it is said that only a few masters have it, and they are the masters of the Holy Life Alliance and the Black and White Kingdom. The Everfrizz Council is only qualified to make some lore clones. The Star Realm, it's just a legend, that is, in theory. Just like in theory, a person's large intestine can fit something as big as a football field. It's just in theory. Chapter 650, Requirements for the Promotion of the Lore Clone. Yes, that's right, the clones are arranged like this. Ruin's tone contained a hint of excitement. This clone was originally an elemental level, a dark elemental clone. But I just found a trace of the spark of the soul lore in this clone. The spark of the soul lore. Lin Ke's expression was shocked. The soul lore is extremely powerful. Look at Ruin, who is only level 25 and can remain calm and composed in front of the sun god. The soul lore is strange, powerful, and rare. If the two terms of soul lore and lore clone are combined, it will be even more intoxicating. It's just that this drop of soul lore is still weak, so weak that only I can find it in Nassim today. As he said, Ruin stroked Lin Ke's face with his finger, giving Lin Ke goosebumps. So, jump 2 levels in a row? Lin Ke didn't care about being teased, but his eyes lit up. Ordinary, elemental, epic, lore, legendary, star realm. From element to epic, and then to lore level. What is this equivalent to? Originally you were a deputy section chief, but you jumped 2 levels and became a deputy director. Originally you had 10,000 yuan, but 2 zeros were added to the end to make it 1 million yuan. In fact, the span from the elemental clone to the lore clone is much greater than the above two. I made a profit. I made a fortune. What should I do? Lin Ke also forced himself to calm down. Now that the clone is in his hand, it is at least elemental level. Even if it cannot be promoted, it's okay. It's very simple. Absorb the plane core. Ruin's eyes flashed with a strange light. Or, absorb endless souls. Plane core. This aspect of knowledge is already advanced knowledge. If you want to borrow it in a large library, you have to have a lot of procedures and certificates. Fortunately, Lin Ke has read it all. Plane core, in simple terms, is the plane pan consciousness, which is composed of the pan consciousness and subconsciousness of the creatures in each plane. Lin Ke obtained a plane core when he was 6 years old. It was a plane core of part of Nassim that was stolen by the king of the gods of the human race. So it inadvertently created Lin Ke's only 3 bloodlines in ancient and modern times. Plane core. There are many forms, even the plane core of a small secondary plane. It is an extremely precious thing. The most important thing is that no one will sell the plane core. For normal professionals, the plane core can improve their talents and speed up their cultivation. For the strong who can comprehend the laws, the plane core is far superior to other treasures. Before, Lin Ke exhausted the power of the entire wilderness, but he didn't find a plane core. You can imagine the importance of the plane core. And now, Ruin said that he would need more than 1 plane core to instill this clone, which really made him speechless. There are only these 2 ways. Lin Ke found it a little hard to accept. It should not be difficult for Lin Ke to massacre the people of a plane. He is not a saint. But massacring a plane. First, this approach is indeed too bloody and crazy. The serial murders of massacring neighbors in the previous life would shock the whole country. You can imagine how outrageous it is to massacre a plane. Second, even capitalists would think that such a massacre is a waste of resources. So, then there's no other way. Either you go to places like slaughterhouses and battlefields to absorb souls, or you go search for the core of the plane. Riven spread his hands. If it were me, I would just go and slaughter a few secondary planes. Don't you have a lot of them? How easy it is. Just slaughter a few, and your clone may even become a legend in the future. TSK. Think about it. You are fighting an evenly matched opponent, and your clone comes out and punches the opponent. Lin Ke pursed his lips. Okay, shut up. Think about it. Resources are always more useful when they are concentrated in the hands of people who know how to use them more reasonably, right? By the way, the star realm is so big. To less planes, or 5, of course. It may be 15, but isn't a few less planes the same as a few less ants? You don't even dare to step on ants, right? I remember there seems to be a type of woman in your novel, the kind that is particularly annoying. Are you that kind? Think about it. Every life will die. You just kindly let them merge with your clone in advance. From an ant, to become a part of the legend. This is the supreme honor. Ruin whispered softly in Lin Ke's ear, like a demon. However, Lin Ke was not moved at all, and just shrugged helplessly. Are you really not considering becoming a god? I think if you become a god, you must have the potential to become a master. Besides, the words you just tempted me are simply, how to say it, it's a reversal of right and wrong, a misleading and confusing cause and effect. Lin Ke shrugged. Why don't you consider going to the third high school of the Great Wilderness to repeat your studies? There are adult classes there. Ruin was stunned for a moment, then raised his eyebrows. Mr. Lava, a mere 18-level little lord, are you strong enough to challenge a noble legend? Even if he is also a master of the art of manipulating souls. Haha. Lin Ke laughed. Unfortunately, this artist who manipulates souls is a 0, and your last sentence should not be linked with even if, but with at the same time. Really, how about considering it? I'll let John do the admission procedures for you for free without queuing. After that, Lin Ke pretended to hold back his laughter. What is 0? The internet in his previous life told Lin Ke that 0 is the one below. Therefore, Ruin was immediately furious. Don't think I won't mess with you, just because Woomian and Andrew are here. They don't care who you sleep with. I can make you sit on my bed willingly. Your soul is so weak. Ruin's furious look was actually full of a sense of charm and enchantment. Charming but not vulgar, and fresh and cute. Cute! Exclamation mark. No. Suddenly, Lin Ke was horrified. Forget it. Forget it. I can't afford to offend him. If this guy really comes later, Lin Ke will probably be uncomfortable. Oh, I'm kidding. Brother-in-law Ruin, I have something to do over there, so excuse me. As soon as he left the legendary inn, Lin Ke immediately took out his stick and teleported away. After Lin Ke left with the lava stick, oh no, the lava scepter, Ruin immediately chuckled. Haha, interesting, and attracted the attention of passers-by. Ruin looked around and teleported away, and then the legendary inn fell into silence again. Not long after Lin Ke returned home to rest, John came to see him again. Master, the results are out. John held the results of the meeting of the Great Wilderness Council in his hand and smiled. It seems that there are far more people with foresight than those with short-sightedness. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.